All right, what's up, guys? How is everybody doing? I appreciate you once again for joining me here at Blunt Politics. I'm Boston Brian. This thing is incredibly hot right now, so I'm glad I at least got to wear it for the intro because there's no chance in hell I could wear that for the entire time. I'm about to pass out as it is, but I appreciate it. Not only that, but I think that the surround's probably a little much. But I just wanted to let you know that I am in the festive mood, right? But just to let you know, we got a ton to cover tonight. I know I'm on a little bit early, but unfortunately, Donald Trump once again throwing a wrench in the plans. He's supposedly supposed to come on around 9 p.m. Never does come on time, but he's supposed to be on around 9 p.m. to give some sort of address. I would just assume if he's going to be talking about war in some way, shape, or fashion, that we should probably be there to cover it, especially as a political commentator being live as he's talking about it. But otherwise, he picked the worst timing to do this because I have so many things that I wanted to show you tonight, so many different clips and so many different stories. But as usual, Donald Trump just not going to let anything flow smoothly. But I do appreciate him. Let me get rid of this thing. Jesus Christ. Throws everybody off. People are going to start having conniptions. All right, but I appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like button on the way in. I appreciate the mods. I appreciate the chat. Hello to the chat. Hello to the mods. Thank you guys for everything that you're doing. But yeah, let's see if we can just dive into maybe what most people are discussing at this moment in time, or at least one of the main things that people are discussing this moment in time. Let me just see. What's it called? This guy. Where is he? Yeah, this guy right here. So, ladies and gentlemen, I wish that I had some sort of a team here. Like, I wish I had the funding to somehow put together a team of editors or crack fucking people that could put together videos and stuff, or just dig through, some of the content that I've already done to pull up different parts of the show that I remember, but don't have the time and the inclination to go sit through all of the shows and look for, because I would love to know how long ago on this show I told you, or that we predicted, that Dan Bongino was on his way out, right? We looked at a bunch of reports. We talked about a bunch of the articles that were written, a bunch of the insider reporting, and we basically said there's no way he's last, and there's no way. It's a lot to do with the Epstein files. And again, curious timing on this one. Is Dan Bongino leaving just because he knows that Pam Bondi is getting ready to, again, keep and withhold information from the American public as it pertains to the Epstein files, and he doesn't want to be involved in that? Just curious timing with the Epstein files set to come out in a couple days. Dan Bongino now saying that he's gone, leaving in January, I believe the announcement was. But, basically he's got one foot out the door, or has had one foot out the door for quite some time now. But yeah, I just wish I could pay somebody to dive down back into the shows of Blunt Politics and see the first time that we were talking about Dan Bongino and how quickly he's going to be out of here and how pathetic he looks as it relates to the Epstein files and everything he's been saying on his podcast. It would just be cool to kind of be like, yeah, check this out. We said this on this date. So it kind of gives you, a good reason why you should be watching Blunt Politics. But again, who has the time or the inclination for that? But yeah, let's dive into this. Is just a little bit of MS now. Nicole Wallace kind of unloads. I don't know if we'll get that deep into this because, like I said, I got a bunch to show you. So we'll be kind of skimming a bunch of clips. So all right, let's go through the whole thing. So we got Dan Bongino, right? Dan Bongino's out. We got Kash Patel's not doing any better. A lot of Republican on Republican violence still going on. Still, a lot of this show is going to have to do with right-wing feuding still continuously. So we have more right-wing podcasts calling out Kash Patel. So that's the head of the FBI and the second in charge of the FBI. Not looking so good right now. Well, the second in charge is going to be gone. And then we got Erica Kirk and Candace Owens. I mean, talk about doing the same thing that Nick Fuentes is doing. Candace Owens built this ridiculously massive audience by doing exactly what she is doing, right? By the conspiracy theories, questioning what the government is doing, yada, 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 questioning Israel, right? So she gained this massive audience. And now all of a sudden she has this 4 to 5 hour meeting with Erica Kirk. And it's all of a sudden like she's a changed woman, and her fans are not having it, ladies and gentlemen. They're not having it, and they're calling her out left and right. We got a ton to talk about there. Republicans are still up in arms about Donald Trump's response to the Rob Reiner murder, so we got a couple clips to talk about in terms of that as well. Clearly, we'll be talking about Donald Trump's ridiculous Truth Social post, pretty much declaring war on Venezuela on a fucking social media site. I wanted to dive into a little bit of this Channel 5 News video that just came out the other day, if not yesterday, talking about an all-white community in Arkansas again, I just want to play the intro to that. You can kind of check that out on your own time if you have the time. And then we'll be diving into a lot about Ukraine. So that's about what the show is going to be about today. And again, like I said, try to keep me, if I forget, try to keep me updated in the chat. If you see the orange fat fuck go on and start making his address, kind of let me know in the chat, and I'll see if I can. I think I have it pulled up here. Yeah, there's a bunch of different live streams going where I could pop in at any moment where you guys tell me. So let me know when he goes on. If not the mods, but people in the chat, and then we'll kind of skim through it until he does. All right, so let's dive into this Dan Bongino MS Now clip, again titled "This Guy is a Freaking Joke." Nicole Wallace unloads after news of Dan Bongino quitting his FBI job. And again, this is more or less just kind of giving the ins and outs of this. I don't think we'll make it too far into this to get Nicole Wallace's take where she calls him a joke, but we'll see. You never know. Let's dive into it. Again, Dan Bongino not having it anymore. The reports that we talked about a long time ago were pretty much true. So you can go back and look at them on Megyn Kelly and calling all the reports a joke, and how would they know? And well, seems like they knew. Seems like they knew, buddy. All right, here we go.
I don't know what people think me and Cash are doing all day. I mean, I gave up everything for this. I mean, you know, my wife is struggling. I'm not a victim. I'm not Jim Comey. It's fine. I did this, and
This might have been actually the moment. Oh, thank you, moms. Oh, I appreciate that so much. Thank you very, very much. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you. Thank you so much for your kindness and your generosity. She says, thanks for all you do to help us keep sane, Boston Brian. Oh, no, you guys are the ones that keep me sane, and I couldn't appreciate you more for it. And thank you so much for everything you do, moms. Thank you. I hope you're well. I hope you're well. But yeah, I think this is probably the first moment in time people had the first inclination. Might have even been before this, where Dan Bongino was not really having the best time. It wasn't quite what he thought that position was going to be, right? He kind of had a different future in his mind, and what he kind of was going to get to accomplish, and what his job would entail when he got in there. But guess he had he found out quickly. He fucked around, and he found out very quickly, ladies and gentlemen. This was, again, May 29th, 2025, and just to kind of play his words against him.
Proud I did it. But if you think we're there for tea and crumpets, well, I mean, Cash is there all day. We share it. Our offices are linked.
Yeah, I mean, believe me, all day is a stretch. We know how much he's on the jet. That's another story we'll be talking about tonight. So don't give me this. He's there all day. Otherwise, he wouldn't be spending so much time in his goddamn jet or on his girlfriend's goddamn podcast. So don't give me this. He's in at work at 6 a.m. and he doesn't leave till midnight. I mean, the guy's a work machine. It's crazy how they talk about everybody in the administration. They just cannot admit faults. They cannot look like a regular human being. Everybody has to not sleep. Everybody has to work out from morning till fucking night. They all have to be the strongest. They all have to be the fucking most alpha. Just the most ridiculous bullshit from these people. Donald Trump doesn't sleep, and they commend him for it. Okay, if your 80-something-year-old father wasn't sleeping ever at all, I think you'd probably do something other than say, oh, that's beautiful, Dad. That's awesome. Perfect. I mean, you must be in tip-top shape. I mean, you haven't slept in fucking 3 months. All the decision-making, skills that you've had are obviously still on point. You know what I mean? It's like, who are we kidding here? Well, the guy doesn't sleep, and it's a good thing.
He turns on the faucet. I hear it. He's there he gets in like 6 o'clock in the morning. He doesn't leave till 7.
You have a faucet in your office? It's odd. Strange. Do you both have faucets, or does he have the only faucet? Like, would he hear it if you turned on your... Like, if you take a shit in the morning and you flush the toilet in your office, apparently, does he hear that? Or do you only hear when he turns on his water?
At night. I'm in there at 7:30 in the morning. He uses the gym. I work out in my apartment. But I stare at these 4 walls all day in D.C., by myself, divorced from my wife. Not divorced, but I mean separated, divorced. And
Jesus Christ. Talk about a Freudian slip. So everybody at this moment in time was like, wow, this guy looks like he's about to fucking jump off the ledge. Like, this guy, he is not going to last very long, right? I mean, clearly he's talking about, he just happened to use the word divorced from his wife in that instance. That was just some sort of mistake. That was just, that's not a typical word most people use in that situation. But again, if you're thinking about something else while also, trying to come up with words to fake it, then that's obviously something that you're going to have to risk. But to sit here and be like, yeah, I'm divorced from my wife. I sit here and look at 4 walls. I'm there from morning till night. It sucks. I gave up everything. I sacrificed everything. My wife hates me. Like, doesn't really show passion and emotion and enthusiasm for your position there, Chief. Obviously something was very, very wrong at this point already.
Hard.
A full day's work is hard. Our colleague Carol Lennick today broke the news that man who...
She's right, though. She's right. Say what you want about MS Now, any of these people, the commentators, again, you can, and I probably wouldn't fault you for doing so, but she's not wrong. He's basically sitting there complaining about a 9 to 5. That's what he's complaining. As a podcaster for so long, as somebody so used to making exorbitant amounts of money because of the amount of listeners he had, just sitting there on Rumble doing absolutely nothing but creating more conspiracy theories and lying to his audience, right? Like, he is so fucking like removed from reality that he thinks he's under the epitome of what a struggle is just by going to work every day, like having to leave his house at 7 a.m, sometimes not getting back till 7 p.m. He's like, oh, it's fucking torture. I mean, before I did plumbing, I was a roofer. Before I was a roofer, I did construction. You know what I mean? It's like, that is the norm. That was the norm, getting up before the sun rose and getting home after the sun set. I mean, that was just something that you were used to. That's just it's part of the territory. That's what, that's the life you chose basically in that position. But, you don't sit there and fucking complain about it because everybody else is in the same boat too. You know what I mean? So for him to be sitting in an air-conditioned office with probably a big fucking refrigerator, an assistant, right, bathrooms right off the, where obviously in his office, and to sit there and complain about the shit that he can easily delegate to anybody in his, anybody in his administration, anybody in his unit or whatever the fuck, is just asinine. You know what I mean? To see how depressed he was already in May gave everybody a really good, a clear picture of what was to come.
In his own words, said it was, quote, hard, divorced from my wife, from my friends all day, staring at those four walls.
And I think, hold on, just, for the sake of time, so we don't run it, because I have so many of these goddamn clips. I think she brings in somebody I think she brings in this guy. Let me bring in here.
Security and intelligence analyst Michael Feinberg. Carol, he said he was, quote, divorced from his wife, but then he said he meant separated physically, not divorced legally. But tell us what you are reporting about Dan Bongino.
Well, we first started hearing that Bongino was telling his inner team that he was leaving on Friday. Initially, Mr. Bongino declined to really engage on the record about this. We kept doing more reporting, and as you see, we now have 8 sources saying that he told his inner team and some senior FBI supervisors that he's leaving. And I will add, Nicole, that the president has just recently confirmed our reporting, which is always nice to have the president.
Yeah, Trump did report. Basically, he said he wants to go back to his podcast to summarize Donald Trump's statements on this. Oh, he did a great job. Fantastic job he did, but I think he wants to go back to his podcast. Oh, they're in shambles. They are in absolute shambles right now, whether it's polling numbers, right? Whether it's what's happening domestically with, affordability, whether it's the housing crisis, the lack of job creation, fucking homelessness on the rise, unemployment on the rise, inflation on the rise. I mean, they're just in absolute shambles. The right wing, on right wing fucking feuds that are taking place that has basically just enveloped everybody that is a right wing political podcaster, whatever you want to call them. Every single one of them now has a position, has taken a side, is calling out another person. They're all in absolute shambles right now. Not to mention what's going on with Mike Johnson in the House, right? People calling his ass out, saying he's completely lost control of the people in his car. Like, it's just everywhere you look right now, the Republican Party is in absolute shambles. Marjorie Taylor Greene leaving and calling out. I mean, just pick your poison as far as where the Republican Party is now, like, just disintegrating in front of our very eyes. And again, we'll continue to cover it, but here, as you'll hear more Republican people talk about how incensed they were, enraged they were with Donald Trump's comments about Rob Reiner afterwards, something you wouldn't normally hear from people like this. But let's go on to this next one before we run out of time, because allegedly Donald Trump will be speaking in about 18 minutes. I very much doubt that he'll be on at that time. I'd almost bet my life savings that he won't be, but who knows? If he's announcing something about war, maybe he's giddy. And again, you don't want to keep grandpa up too late, that whole sundowning thing. So the earlier they get him on camera, the better it is for everybody. But all right, let's jump into this, because this is, again, right-wing media, conservative media, whatever you want to call it, going after Kash Patel. This is not left-wing podcast. This is not progressive podcast. These are not liberal podcasts or live streams, whatever you want to call them, YouTube channels. These are clearly Republican. He calls himself America First, which is clearly aligned with Nick Fuentes. To give you a little bit of background, in case you just joined the show and have not watched any of Nate's stuff before, we use him as I don't know what you want to say, as kind of like a bookmark to remember and to kind of acknowledge where the conservative podcast media space is, who they're calling out, who they're talking about, and who they're not talking about, and what they're not calling out as well. So we use this guy all the time, and this is just another one where he's calling out Kash Patel for the same thing that progressive liberals and lefties are calling him out for the same. At the same moment, you get the Brown investigation going on. The shooter's still at large. They already have taken in a suspect that was the wrong suspect, like they did in the Charlie Kirk murder. Still at large, and this motherfucker's on his girlfriend's podcast talking about love and using the jet and shit. So basically, they're so mad at their own people right now that they're starting to sound just like us, at least in a different, a few of these different areas. This is no different than some of the things you'd hear on Blue Sky. Like, what the fuck is this guy doing? We got the Brown investigation going on. 2 people dead. One of the most notable shootings. And again, this guy's still at large somehow. And then at the same time, you're on your girlfriend's podcast. So again, no different, but this is what the incompetency and the arrogance of the Trump administration is turning their own side into doing. Like, again, the through line here is how willing conservatives, Republicans, MAGA, whatever you want to call them, America First people are willing to call Donald Trump out now and to disengage with his bullshit. And how Donald Trump is losing that grasp on the 30%, that cult-like base that he had. And he could pretty much predict how they would react to anything he said or did. Like, he had that one thing going for him, and that's what kind of kept him so in line with the base for so long. He is rapidly losing the grip on that same thing. Like, he no longer has that ability to pinpoint what the base will say after he does, or after somebody in his administration announces something. He cannot then, even if he does not predict it, he doesn't have the ability to corral it like he used to anymore either. So even if they were kind of aggrieved with something he did or something that Pam Bondi did, he used to have that kind of command and be able to kind of scold whoever he wanted to kind of, get that control of his base back. He doesn't have that ability anymore, whether it's just lost, cognitively, or it's just not something he cares about anymore because he knows he has the right people in power. He knows he has the right positions covered so that he doesn't get in trouble, or it's because he knows he can't run again, or whatever it may be. That's something that we got to talk about as well. But let's dive into just a couple minutes of this. Again, we're going to kind of skim through a lot of these. We're not going to dive into all of these videos. We're not going to cover the whole thing. So let's dive into just a couple minutes where he's going after Kash Patel for, showing up on his girlfriend's podcast. Here he's going over comments as well. So it's not just this podcast. He's starting off by reading comments by other people talking about the same thing. So check this out.
Why is the FBI director on a podcast with his girlfriend laughing emoji? I believe Patel cares more about his girlfriend's image than the bureau's. We are not a serious country. Kash might not be gay, but his boyfriend is. Everyone's body language is making me nervous. Love to see that my taxes being paid to the hardest workers. I'm sure they got this interview right on time due to the jet that I paid for too. Thanks.
And again, these are people that watch these types of podcasts. I believe this is I don't know if this is under the Katie Miller podcast or just on something that Kash Patel posted. I'm not 100% sure. But either way, it's either the people that watch Kash Patel or Kash Patel's girlfriend or fucking Stephen Miller's girlfriend's podcast. These are not, again, the people that you would normally expect to be saying this. I mean, what's that? The one you can see there, Gold Patriot 1776, right? I mean, come on, that tells you pretty much everything you need to know there. And he says, Kash might not be gay, but his boyfriend is, again, going after Kash's girlfriend. So you can see their sentiment, their feelings on this. I believe Patel cares more about his girlfriend's image than the bureau's. Why is the FBI director on a podcast with his girlfriend? Again, similar sentiment to what you're hearing on places like Blue Sky. So you can kind of see how, the tables have turned, so to speak, on how willing they are to call out these people.
Thanks, Kash. So yes, 100% negative feedback. Who'd have thought? Nobody saw that coming because everybody knows we're living in an absolute fucking clown show world where, again, the sitting director of the FBI is doing podcasts with his girlfriend talking about how much they love each other.
Right? I mean, you can't really disagree with what he's saying there, right? Let's go. So just to skip his intro for a sec. Here we go.
Embarrass himself, his country, or the FBI any more than he already has. He decided to say, hold my fucking beer, boys, watch this, and goes on a podcast with his 27-year-old girlfriend, acting like a Timu, Meghan Markle, and Prince Harry to discuss how in.
And again, they're not just like lightly calling him out, right? They're not just kind of like lightly reprimanding him for like, we probably shouldn't have done this, boss, or, this isn't a good look while this investigation is going on type of thing. This is like this fucking rat prick motherfucker. You know what I mean? They're going all out on this kid. They're going all out.
Love they are. Now, I would love to tell you guys that this is satire. However, in this clown show world we're living in, this is real. So that's what we're talking about in this video.
Again, the clown show could be directly related to the Trump administration, right? He won't say it. They all kind of tiptoe around the fact that this is somebody put in place, handpicked by Donald Trump, right? Along with these other fucking goons, right? And morons that he's got in place. They'll call these people out without acknowledging that it's part of the administration, part of Donald Trump's thought process, part of Donald Trump's plan to have these people there. And again, whether or not they're MAGA or Donald Trump fans or not, I think you would be willing to call out or at least able and be able to see what the fuck's going on enough where you'd be able to call out the person, the president of the United States who's actively putting these people in the positions that they're in. You know what I mean? But none of them do. But at least you can see how, how the tables have turned for Kash Patel in terms of support from his own base here.
Video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Helps the has been up to with his girlfriend. So yes, these two lovebirds went on the Katie Miller podcast where they discussed absolutely hard-hitting topics like how they met, when they're getting married, their food allergies, and played games like Would You Rather. Yes, and a reminder, this is the director of the fucking FBI, and I'm sure there's not anything more pressing going on that could be taking up Kash Patel's time outside of doing podcasts with his girlfriend. Like, I don't know, the fact that the Brown campus shooter is still on the run and no one's in custody, and the FBI looks like a total joke because...
Again, I mean, I rest my case pretty much. And again, just optically, just in terms of optics, you think you would have enough fucking sense to be like I said on the other show, even if this was a pre-recorded podcast, even if it was done whenever the fuck it was done, but it hadn't been released yet. As soon as, something as, existential situation happens, like, is taking place in Brown or any one of the situations I'm sure that the FBI is currently engaged in investigating in this country that has taken place recently, right? You would think you'd be like, okay, why don't we hold off on releasing that, especially since I'm there in person, right? Especially since it definitely, even if we don't talk about it, it shows me taking time away from these active and ongoing investigations, right? Even if that's not what happened, whatever the fuck, you'd think you'd have enough common sense to be like, okay, let's hold off on posting that. You can make a post saying that it was recorded or whatever you want, but let's hold off on actually releasing it until, we have more information in this case, that case, or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? Like, but they don't even have that much common sense. They don't even have that much common sense. And again, it's bleeding through to the people that, again, once were very fucking pleased and happy that these people were being appointed to the positions that they were appointed to. But now this is what it's turned into because of and again, this has a lot to do with not providing for the American people. This has a lot to do with, like, you can be damn sure if, Donald Trump had managed to in some way bring down prices in some of the main areas for people, like, he'd be able to get away with a lot more. I'm sure his base would be more than willing to let him get away with a lot more. But since things are so fucking bad right now, and since the complete opposite of what Donald Trump promised was going to happen has happened since he got into his second term here, he's got less and less leeway. There's less and less rope people are giving him, right? They're just they're not willing to kind of play ball because we're all in the same boat here. Everybody's struggling financially, right? We're all having to fucking rob Peter to pay Paul. We're all thinking about Christmas and gifts and New Year's and holidays and birthdays and work and babysitters and, gas and food and heat, right? Everybody's thinking about that every day. But Donald Trump's out there every single day telling you it's a hoax. So people are fucking reacting
because of it. But there's more pressing things, of course, for Kash Patel to be doing with his time. So let's jump into this video. We'll work our way through it. Luckily, I watched it
No, we don't have to jump into any of the footage there, but I just kind of wanted to break down the sentiment, of what Republicans and conservatives are now feeling and talking about in terms of their own people. These are the people that they wanted put in the positions. These are the people that they fought for and fucking argued with Democrats against when they were trying to be, what do you call it? Fucking basically installed and approved by Congress, right? So you have nothing. You have nobody to blame but yourself, people. You got nobody to fucking blame. And again, if you're gonna be mad at somebody, be mad at yourselves for being fucking fooled and propagandized into believing that Kash Patel, in some way, shape, or form, had the fucking the wherewithal, had the knowledge to run the FBI. So fault your own. Nobody else's. Nobody else's. And then again, speaking of nobody else's fault and kind of self-inflicted wounds here, let's put this on the screen, because another one of the self-inflicted wounds dealing with this MAGA civil war, Republican on Republican violence, whatever you want to call it, that has, again, totally engulfed right-wing echo chambers, the right-wing political media sphere. All of them, every single one of them. There's not a person that has not been wrapped up in this. Name a podcaster, name somebody that has a show, name somebody that has their own channel, and they got a fucking place that they've taken on this. They got a position. But Candace Owens now, it's remarkable to me. It's what people were calling that they thought was going to happen. It seems like it happened. People like, she's going to get the call, right? Somebody's going to threaten her or something. I don't know what the fuck happened, but she did the flip. She did the exact same thing that her fucking fans said don't do. And she's getting called out for it, and she's not happy about it. And I just want to show you like the first minute or two of how she started her podcast. And then I want to show you just a little bit of the response on Twitter from some of the people. And then we'll move on. We're not going to do too much of this. I think we've kind of covered this ridiculous enough until more comes out. And what she actually says more on this, we probably won't know a whole lot about what actually came from this, because she was more or less addressing her fans, calling her ass out for even having the meeting with Erica Kirk, apparently. So again, listen to how she starts her podcast. And this is somebody that has had, I don't know, upwards of 30 to 40 different conspiracy theories on how Erica Kirk's husband, Charlie Kirk, obviously was murdered. Turning Points USA was involved somehow. Israel was involved somehow, right? I'm talking like above and beyond the things that don't align as far as the evidence, as far as like rifles and time frame and videos is concerned. Like, that's one thing, but to have these outlandish and ridiculous conspiracy theories that are just wholly unproven is a whole nother. But that's how she got this audience, folks. That's how she got some 300,000 live viewers for a fucking live stream. To put that in perspective, right now I have 195 people watching, 168 on YouTube, 2 on Facebook, and 29 on Twitch. Just to kind of put it in perspective, 300,000 live viewers for her fucking show. And she's got something between 3 and 5 million different views for videos or these lives afterwards. And again, it's crazy, but that's how she built this audience, the same way that Nick Fuentes built his audience with hatred, bigotry, loving Hitler. And now people in his branch, his camp, are pissed that he's kind of doing this, like, taming down of, his rhetoric so he can go on the mainstream media type of thing. Well, the same kind of thing is now threatening to happen to Candace Owens. It's like they just don't know what to do with the newfound power. She's so desperate to throw it away, I guess, because now she's talking about how it was a great conversation, and I'll let her fucking go into it. You can see how angry and upset and frustrated she was with her own fans. But again, just the first couple minutes of this podcast. This is basically just the intro. Oh, hold on. Let me start it from the front. Let me start it from the beginning. My apologies.
Okay, everybody. Shabbat Shalom.
Right off the bat, Shabbat Shalom, she says. Does that sound familiar? Remember when Erica Kirk said that on her meeting or her interview with Fox News? I think it also has something to do with the title of Charlie Kirk's book that was posthumously released by Erica Kirk. So just after her 4 to 5 hour meeting with Erica Kirk, after she's been attacking Israel, attacking Benjamin Netanyahu, saying he's had involvement in not only trying to take over Turning Points, but in Charlie Kirk's death, all of the other different conspiracy theories that people in Turning Points had something to do with it. After all that, this is what she's coming out with and how she's starting her show. Shabbat Shalom, she says.
Okay, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. Just want to say Shabbat Shalom to everybody back at home. Happy.
She's clearly being facetious. She's clearly mocking her audience, and the reaction that her audience members had, or the people that watched the podcast, whoever it was, had towards her meeting with Erica Kirk. Just in case, you're kind of wondering what the fuck she's doing here and what it means. She's basically mocking the people that think, oh, just because she met with Erica Kirk, she's been had, she's been bought, they got to her, they threatened her, they poisoned, whatever the fuck, right? So she's basically mocking her own base, her own people, the same way that Nick Fuentes does, right? The same way that he's been doing when they've been kind of like, hey, I don't like the way you've been, kind of saying shit on Steven Crowder. I don't like what you've been saying on Piers Morgan. It's a lot different than what I'm hearing on the podcast type of thing. Well, same shit here with Candace Owens.
Hanukkah to our greatest friends and allies. And, this is a good time to mention that Israel does have a right to defend itself. Tucker Carlson is Adolf Hitler. And TikTok does need to be purchased by the Mossad. It's just how I'm feeling today. I am not different. Maybe you are different. Welcome back to Candace.
Now, listen to the music, because she has usually some fucking normal intro music that she has. Listen to what she replaced it with. She's a fucking psychopath. She is an absolute fucking psychopath. You know what I mean? Like, it makes no sense on any of the fronts to me to all of a sudden, like, to mock your community like that, to, I don't know, switch over to mock the Jewish or the Israeli community like that. Like, I don't know, it's almost like, I don't know. It's so weird what she's trying to do. It's like she's trying to call out everybody all at once. Her audience, Erica Kirk, Israel, the Jews, all at once. She's trying to fucking, throw everybody under the bus and start a fight with everybody at this point.
Okay, you guys are crazy. You guys are absolutely crazy. The amount of people who attacked me for sending out a tweet being like, hey, I'm good, I'm alive. We had a very productive conversation. And they were like, she got the call. She got the call. She's betrayed us. She's doing something else. I can't believe it. This has all just been a show.
And all of this is real, true sentiment that was shown here. I'll throw this on the screen because just to kind of give you a little bit of an example. Not sure quite who these, all of these accounts are, but you can sure if they're watching this sort of stuff, they're either, political commentators or people that follow this stuff on the right. But this is Candace Owens is folding like a cheap lawn chair after receiving pushback from her own fans. She pinned this comment under yesterday's video, but quickly deleted it after receiving even more pushback. Excuse me. It says, as you can see, she plays the victim and fishes for sympathy that did not come. This comes after she raged out and accused her own fans of being bots. She does that in her own show. She literally says that her own chat is full of bots, which is crazy. When they criticized her in the chat during her live stream, behind the scenes, Candace is in full panic mode trying to figure out a way to rope her fans back in. I'm warning you now that she is desperate and will resort to doing just about anything to maintain her current audience. She simply cannot afford to lose support now with all of the upcoming lawsuits that will be thrown her way in the near future. I expect her to do, something drastic over the next coming days to try and regain control over the cult. Is Dickhead on yet? Just turned 6. Let me know. Let's see. I'll put this on in the back. Mute it. I'll just throw one of the live streams on in the back just so that way we can keep it live and concurrent, see when he goes on. This is just the AP one. So if anybody sees him come on before I do, just let me know. All right. Appreciate it. All right. Yeah. So this is what Candace had posted underneath her video. It says, okay, I'm a bit frustrated by the comments here. Foremost, I was only given the option for a closed door meeting because they were pissed that this was originally supposed to take place on a live stream. I think we actually read the stipulations for this meeting on Blunt Politics a couple shows ago, how it was supposed to go and, how one was going to respond afterwards. And Candace was going to do a live stream that ran concurrently with TP USA. She wasn't going to actually go on there. The whole thing, I think we read it out there. But all you need to know is that it was almost 5 hours long, her meeting with Erica Kirk. She needs more time to digest. I just wanted to present the facts to you all today and what they said without any of my own innuendo because there is a lot to digest and pray about. It's difficult to put into words what it's like to be in my position and to have to consider the scenarios that no person on earth should have to consider. Again, playing the victim. This guy, whoever wrote this, was 100% right in her playing the victim here. That she started this shit. She fucking made the bed. right? And she needs to sleep in it. But right now she's trying to fucking, I don't know, somehow change the bed while everybody that came in because of the other bed is now in the room waiting to sleep on the other bed. But now she's trying to do the old swapperoo here and say, no, I didn't mean anything. Nope, I totally believe Turning Points the whole time. She goes on to say, how many people can even say they've watched a friend of theirs be murdered in cold blood over politics? And then that has to consider the possibility that the entire government colluded to make it all happen, and maybe even the people close to him, all while being attacked from every media group and influencer in the world. It's very heavy stuff. And on top of it, I have to deal with how fickle the audience is, yada, yada, yada. She went on to delete it. Even Megyn Kelly reveals that she's gotten closer to Candace Owens since she started her crusade to implicate Erica Kirk to team. She then tells everybody she's disgusted by this to fuck off. I love it. Granny Groper is finished. But, it keeps going on. Holy crap. Candace Owens reveals the firearm. Charlie Kirk's assassination was not detected by dogs that are trained to find explosives. So she's trying to come out with a little bit of information. But if you look at all of the, the comments under her show, I'm totally enjoying your melting down, and so many others. Candace Owens was dragging a widow on the internet for money, and you shills went along with it. You didn't want the truth. You wanted drama and entertainment. I hope Erica sues the heck out of Candace Owens. Now we know who is susceptible to propaganda. Sheep. Biggest mistake of Candace's life was agreeing to that meeting. Then they obviously did something to her. She seems like her mind was messed with heavily. You know what I mean? There's even ones on here about her not drinking the water, right? I'll see if I can find that. Candace Owens is done. What a letdown. That's by Nick Fuentes. Candace Owens doesn't believe Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. Okay, so what? Let's see here. Let's see if there's anything about the water. Because there was one in here that I saw where I don't know if it was her referencing it or somebody else referencing the fact that she didn't drink any water. Let me see here. It's got to be around here. She's giving the entire game. Investigators, she playing the victim. As evidence, she handed out investigation. No, not that one. Question. Candace Owens flips her wig after being questioned about what her actual theory is. After 3 long months, she can't even answer the question, and neither can her fans. Every day there's a new theory, a new word salad that goes absolutely nowhere. Yeah, she was on with Piers Morgan as well. Let's see. I won't watch him. Is he on? Let's see. Okay, all right. Here we go.
Into our country, a feat which everyone said was absolutely impossible. Do you remember when Joe Biden said that he needed?
And again, if this is about something meaningless and pointless, I'll hop right off of it. I'm curious if it's about war or whatnot.
And everyone else, as it turned out, we didn't need legislation. We just needed a new president. We inherited the worst border anywhere in the world, and we quickly turned it into the strongest border in the history of our country. In other words, in a few short months, we went from worst to best. We're deporting criminals, restoring safety to our most dangerous cities. Just take a look at Washington, D.C.
This is the most dangerous cities.
Levels of safety that we've never seen before. And they decimated the bloodthirsty foreign drug cartels. We did that all by ourselves.
Yesterday's a hard word for me.
And we're so proud of it because they were poisoning and destroying our population. Drugs brought in by ocean and by sea.
I think they're by illegal.
This week it was reported that an illegal and you just look at this, what's happening.
Radicals in our schools, and control over those schools is back now in the hands of our great and loving states, where education belongs. After rebuilding the United States military in my first term, and with the addition we are adding right now, we have the most powerful military anywhere in the world, and it's not even close. I've restored American strength, settled 8 wars in 10 months, destroyed the Iran nuclear threat, and ended the war in Gaza, bringing for the first time in 3,000 years
Go
peace
fuck
to
yourself.
the Middle East, and secured the release of the hostages, both living and dead.
The big, fat,
Here at home,
sloppy
we're bringing our
United
economy
States
back from the brink of ruin. The last administration and their allies in Congress looted our treasury for trillions of dollars.
No, get
driving
those
up
lights
prices
off.
and everything
Off.
at levels never seen
Turn them
before.
off.
I am
they're
bringing
too
those
bright.
high
Turn them
prices
off.
down and bringing them down very fast. Let's look at the facts. Under the Biden administration,
Referred to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small.
States, 30%.
Here you got a little chubby going there.
30 to 50%. Hotel rates rose 37%. Airfares rose 31%. Now under our leadership, they're all coming down and coming down fast. Democrat politicians also said the cost of groceries soaring, but we are solving that too. The price of a Thanksgiving turkey was down 33% compared to the Biden last year. The price of eggs is down 82% since March, and everything else is falling rapidly.
Give him 3 minutes. I'll give him till 6:10.
But boy, are we making progress. Nobody can believe what's going on. Here are just some of the efforts that we have underway. You will see in your wallets and bank accounts in the new year. After years of record-setting falling incomes, our policies are boosting take-home pay at a historic pace. Under Biden, real wages plummeted by $3,000. Under Trump, the typical factory worker is seeing a wage increase of $1,300. For construction workers, it's $1,800. For miners, we're bringing back clean, beautiful coal.
For miners, do we love miners? I love miners.
And for the first time in years, wages are rising much faster than inflation. Remember that. The wages, just look at it. Wages.
Yeah, would you look at it, folks?
How big is that? Very importantly, there are more people working today than at any time in American history. And 100% of all jobs created since I took office have been in the private sector. Think of that. 100% of all jobs have been in the private sector rather than government, which is the only way to make a country powerful and
literally
great.
The least amount of jobs created in a month
already.
in what, since
I've
the fucking
secured
pandemic, since we had
$18
literally
trillion
people locked
of
up in their
investment
homes
into the United States,
sick
which
to
means
death,
jobs,
literally.
wage increases,
Since then, we have,
growth,
I don't think we've added less
factory
jobs.
and far greater national security. Much of this success has been accomplished by tariffs. My favorite word, tariffs, which for many decades have been used successfully by other countries against
Water
us,
coming here is
but
dead.
not anymore. Companies know that if they build in America, there are no tariffs, and that's why they're coming home to the USA in record
he's got
numbers.
a minute and
They're building
13
factories
seconds
and
left to make
plants
some
at
sort of a fucking
levels we
point
haven't
here.
seen.
Otherwise, I'm hopping
AI,
off to the stuff that I want to
automobiles.
cover.
We're doing what nobody thought was even possible, not even remotely possible. There has never, frankly, been anything like it. 1 year ago, our country was dead. We were absolutely dead. Our country was ready to fail, totally failed. Now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. And that's said by every single leader that I've spoken to over the last 5 months.
That not one
Next
single
year,
fucking
you
leader
will
has
also
ever said.
see the
that you've
results of
ever
the
heard say.
largest tax cuts in American history that were really accomplished through our great, big, beautiful bill, perhaps the most sweeping legislation ever passed in Congress. We
Right.
wrapped 12
I think if
different
he was
bills
going to
up
announce
into
some
one
sort of
beautiful bill. That
attempt at a
includes
war or
no
a
tax
land
on
invasion
tips,
or
no
strikes on
tax
Venezuela,
overtime,
that probably
and no
would be
tax
what he
on
led
Social
with.
Security
So
for our
I'm going to
great
assume that he's got
seniors.
nothing
Under
real
these
to
cuts,
offer
many
here in
families
terms
will
of
be saving
information or
between
breaking news. If
$11,000
that
and
changes, I'm going to hop out of this. So
$20,000
fuck
a
him.
year. And next
But,
spring is
if that
projected to be
changes,
the
if he ends up
largest tax
like
refund
finishing with some
season
sort of
all
breaking
time.
news, will you guys let me
Because
know
of
in the
tariffs,
chat so we
along
can
with
make
the
sure to cover
just
it while I'm on
passed
live.
one big
I'm
beautiful
not going to
bill.
subject you to
Tonight,
the
I am
lies and
also
propaganda
proud
of
to
this
announce
fucking asshole
that
when the
more than
American people wake up every single morning, live their own lives, and know
think of this,
exactly what they're dealing with, and they don't need to be told and lied to by this
450,000
fucking asshole
military
that is
service
somewhere near
members will
$4 billion
receive a special we call
in his own pocket
Warrior
in his second
dividend
administration
before
alone,
Christmas. So Warrior
while
dividend
robbing the American
in
people,
honor
while
of our
harming our
nation's
allies, while
founding in
disintegrating our fucking
1776.
relationships on the
We
world.
are sending every
I don't
soldier
think you need this motherfucker to tell you anything bad other than building a ballroom dedicated to Jeffrey Epstein.
Think of that.
Secret bunker.
And the checks are already
You don't need to be
on
hearing
the way.
that, but
Nobody
if not some sort of war
understood
or
that one until
military
about
invasion
30
or
minutes
strike
ago.
We
We made a
the
lot
US
more money
military.
than anybody thought
Let me
because
know,
of
and I'll
tariffs,
be
and the
sure
bill
to
helped us
be sure to
along.
pop over.
Nobody deserves it more than our military, and I say congratulations to everybody. And by the way,
more people actually bashing Donald Trump. How about that? How about that, Donald? Instead of watching your dumbass, we're gonna listen to fucking Republicans bash on your dumbass. How about that, motherfucker? All right, so, anyways, this is more outrage from Republicans from Donald Trump's response to Rob Reiner. And obviously we read on the show his egregious response, his ridiculous response to this. We've seen several politicians now come out and say basically they would have rathered him keep his mouth shut. It was a bad look. We've heard even more political commentators and even more just normal everyday citizens, as far as Republicans, calling Donald Trump out for his for his post, for his comments on that. But this is Paul from Skyline Reports, and he is living in Texas, and he says AM radio is wall to wall right wing Republican talk. Right, I've listened for decades, and today was different. He says, for the first time, I heard the floor cracking under Trump. Callers and hosts openly questioning his responses, mocking his Rob Reiner tantrum, hammering him on affordability. This wasn't liberal fantasy. This was their audience turning. Republicans are done pretending everything is fine, right? And then it goes on here because this is more to corroborate that exact statement and what's going on, and not so much specifically in Texas, but just in general overall, because this was posted by Crystal Ball, and this is, I guess, a call-in line to one of Megyn Kelly's show that was hosted by Emily Jashinsky, who is one of Crystal's co-hosts on Breaking Points. But anyway, this was a call-in line apparently where people were calling into Megyn Kelly's show. Republicans, obviously, people that listen to Megyn Kelly, and giving their take on Donald Trump's comments about Rob Reiner. And listen to what they have to say. And again, I don't know how many times I had to bring it up, but this is not rhetoric. These are not statements. These are not things that people would call into the radio show not that long ago to say about Donald Trump because of the control he had on the base and the fear that people had about calling him out. That has been subsided for quite some time now into a pretty, to a pretty extensive level. So check this out. Just listen to a couple of these responses. We don't have to dive into the whole thing if we don't have time, but this will give you good insight as to what people are actually saying. And again, these aren't politicians, these aren't commentators, these are just regular people that apparently listen to Megyn Kelly's show on Sirius. Check this out. Oops, sorry, let me put this on the screen.
Indiana, you're on the Megyn Kelly wrap-up show. What's on your mind this afternoon?
Hi, just
Do I have it muted still? Oh, I do have it muted. My apologies.
sort of glomming on here, but
Oh, for crying out loud. Shut up. Shut up. Sorry, Trump was still yapping in my ear. All right, let me play this from the beginning.
Jill in Indiana, you're on the Megyn Kelly wrap-up show. What's on your mind this afternoon?
hi, just sort of glomming on here, but it matters to me what Donald Trump said, and I'm deeply disappointed. If we value human life as Christians and Americans, then this stuff, it's indefensible to sort of gloat like right after someone dies like that, just for having a difference of opinion.
I'm very disappointed in President Trump. I voted for him 3 times. I still love him as my president, but it was wrong what he did. He should have just kept his mouth shut after the first paragraph. I don't know why he had to bring that up. It was a tragedy.
Again, to hear that from people that still say they love the guy, that still say, hey, yeah, he's my guy, he's my president, but, you know what I mean? Like, that's not something typically you'd hear. But I guess it's frustrating on one hand to hear that, yes, you recognize how fucking, inhumane his comments were, but on the other hand, you still say that you love him and respect him and that type of shit. So, really frustrating to hear that part of it. But, this is, again, people calling into a prominent show to put their voices out there, not something that you probably would have seen or heard not that long ago by Republicans.
And I didn't like Rob Reiner as a person. Politics. He was really, really sometimes very virulent from what he was saying about the right, and particularly about Trump too, of course. However, I mean, it really.
See, I didn't see anything particularly like offensive or egregious, anything that Rob Reiner's ever said. It was more common sense type of shit, more stuff that a lot of people, say and do. Him just kind of defending his beliefs and his country and saying different things like that. Like, I never saw him, call for violence or call for action or, you know what I mean? Anything like that. So I don't know what these people are talking about.
It hurts me to the core what happened to him. And I think, as a human being, anyone has to be just sad about what happened and not bring politics into it. And Trump just doesn't know when to stop.
I would just like to say that we have a God-fearing president.
And
What? I'm sorry. Again, the level of delusion, we don't have to go on. You can kind of say this is a 2-minute and 40-second clip, and there was probably more to play from here. And again, this is just one particular show for Megyn Kelly. But this was kind of spread throughout, the Twitter sphere. A lot of this rhetoric was going along and spreading around. But you can see here, that there's still a level of delusion to these people while also recognizing the inhumane nature of what he's saying and being able to call it out. It's almost mind-blowing how you can kind of live on those two realities, the two levels of reality there. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. But again, we don't have to dive into too much of that to kind of get the information that we need to draw from the reaction, how people are kind of more willing to now call them out. But let's dive into Curiosity's killing the cat. Curiosity's killing the cat. What's he yapping about now? Or
it serves those who break the laws, cheat the system, and seek power and profit at the expense of our nation. Look at Minnesota, where Somalians have taken over the economics of the state.
More lies, more bullshit, more racism, going after Somalians again. Okay, so let me throw this on the screen for you assholes. Sorry, I didn't mean for you assholes. I meant to call him an asshole. I threw it at you guys. Sorry, you guys caught a stray there. My apologies. But yeah, this is the I guess the Truth Social post heard around the world here, where apparently Donald Trump thought it necessary and convenient and above board to again announce war pretty much on his Truth Social fucking site. I just want to read this one out for you because this is wild. Again, totally in contravention of the way we do things here in the United States. But he says, Venezuela is completely surrounded by the largest armada ever assembled in the history of South America. It will only get bigger. The shock to them will be nothing like they have ever seen before until such time as they return to the United States of America. All of the oil, land, and other assets that they previously stole from us, the illegitimate Maduro regime is using oil from these stolen oil fields to finance themselves, drug terrorism, human trafficking, murder, and kidnapping. For the theft of our assets and many other reasons, including terrorism, drug smuggling, and human trafficking, the Venezuelan regime has been designated a foreign terrorist organization. Therefore, today, I am ordering total, complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers going into and out of Venezuela. The illegal aliens and criminals that the Maduro regime has sent into the United States during the weak and inept Biden administration is being returned to Venezuela at a rapid pace. America will not allow criminals, terrorists, or other countries to rob, threaten, or harm our nation, and likewise will not allow hostile regime to take our oil, land, or other assets, all of which must be returned to the United States immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I'm sorry, what the fuck is he talking about? What the fuck is he talking about? Return the oil, land, and other assets? What are we talking about? Did he finally go off the deep end here? Until such time as they return to the United States of America, all of the oil, land, and other assets they previously stole from us. What in the fuck? I mean, just think of this rhetoric right here. Think of this rhetoric. Venezuela is completely surrounded by the largest armada ever assembled in the history of South America. History capitalized for some reason. Like, this is quite literally Hitler in the last 2 weeks of his life, sitting in a bunker, being like, "Oh, let's play war games. Let's play Battleship. Like, I can move and get all of these. Oh, it's the largest armada ever assembled." Like, what are we talking about here, people? Until such time as they return to the United States of America, all of the oil, land, and other assets. Wow. Just fucking unbelievable. Literally, I mean, the blockade is a declaration of war in and of itself, but now this is just kind of like taking it that much further. Just fucking absolutely asinine. Again, just another historic piece of information, another historic piece that will have to go down and be remembered and probably fucking framed, right? Remember when the president of the United States said this in his like demonic delusions of dementia, right? Jesus Christ. Unreal. All right, let's dive on to the well, I mean, obviously I haven't seen anybody yet in the chat say that he said anything about Venezuela or war at all in his address. Looks like he's already done. Did he already stop? Trump's already finished? What the fuck was that? That was quick. What did he speak for 10 minutes? Hold on. What? I'm so confused. How long was he on? Couldn't have been that long. What did he say here? What did he say at the end? How'd he end it?
Also increase the cost of law enforcement by numbers so high that they are not even to be mentioned. For the first time in 50 years, we are now seeing reverse migration as migrants go back home, leaving more housing and more jobs for Americans. In the year before my election, all net creation of jobs was going to foreign migrants. Since I took office,
literally
100% of all net job creation has gone to American.
There was absolutely no point to it whatsoever.
100%. In the end, government either serves the productive, patriotic, hardworking American citizen, or it serves those who break the laws, cheat the system, and seek power and profit at the expense of our nation. Look at Minnesota, where Somalians have taken over the economics of the state and have stolen billions and billions of dollars from Minnesota and indeed from the United States of America. We're going to put an end to it. For so long as before my election, the vast majority of good and decent Americans were forced to watch as corrupt politicians plundered the halls of the world has never seen. Soon we will host the World Cup and the Olympics, both of which I got. But most importantly, we will celebrate the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence.
Yep, we are going to certainly celebrate
no more
the 250th
fitting tribute
anniversary
to this epic milestone than to complete the comeback of America that began just 1 year ago. When the world looks at us next year, let them see a nation that is loyal to its citizens, faithful to its workers, confident to its identity, certain to its destiny, and the envy of the entire globe. We are respected again like we have never been respected before. To each and every one of you, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. God bless you all.
God bless the United States. God bless. Hold on. God bless the United States.
God bless the United States.
Hold on. There it is. There we go. All right. Donald Trump, everybody, again, with his 15 minutes of propaganda, 15 minutes of lies. I mean, just how many different ways? I mean, you can tell that he's struggling in that one. Anniversary. I mean, there was a few of them that we caught just in the few minutes that we watched of that. I mean, we're talking about 9 o'clock Eastern, right? Getting on 9:30 here Eastern. They wanted to keep it short and sweet. Probably a reason for that. Right? Probably a reason for that, why they wanted to keep it short and sweet on that one. Didn't want to keep him in front of the camera too long, did they? Didn't want to keep him. And they panned away right away. They didn't show him exit. They didn't show him do anything.
250th anniversary of.
Check this out. They didn't usually they show him kind of, waving to fucking fictional people in the room, right? That type of shit. They didn't even do that. They just kind of went right to and again, this is AP, so I don't know if they're instructed to do that, but they go right to a shot of the White House on the outside. No waving, no nothing. So I don't know if that's something to look at as well. But all right, well, that was useless and fucking definitely not what people expected. I think we were expecting definitely something more fiery than that. But I don't know. Just so we'll see what the fuck happens. But apparently he wanted to congratulate everybody on their anniversary. All right, and I just want to dive into the intro of this because this was very telling. This is a Channel 5 news clip, and I don't know if you're familiar with Channel 5 and Andrew Callahan, but this is him going inside an all-white community in Arkansas. You heard an all-white community in Arkansas, and yes, it's exactly what you'd think it would be. But again, I just want to play. I think the intro he does is about maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and just to kind of give you a little bit of a perspective on what is actually taking place, on what these young people, these young white males, actually believe nowadays in these certain parts of the country, and what they still believe, I should say. But yeah, take a look at this. And again, just the first couple minutes. And then, like I said, if you have the time or the inclination, I would definitely kind of advise you guys to check out this. Gives you kind of good insights in what these Groyper guys, what these Nick Fuentes follower type of people are espousing and what they're living their lives like, because this is them. This is them to a T. So check this out. Just again, the first couple minutes.
Lived in a black neighborhood for quite a while. I saw how they treated white people. It's not very good. And yet all the hate is on white males.
You would get beat up if you said something racial to a black person.
Mm-hmm. You saw that happen?
Yes.
They said something like, man, the hood ain't the hood anymore, as in like they were unhappy with my response.
Almost exclusively white communities exist all around the United States off of paper merely because of socioeconomics.
Something tells me this kid got bullied in school and seriously found like a society that would accept him. That was like maybe a little bit more accepting of the way he speaks. Something maybe I think that has something to do with the situation. I'm speculating, of course.
And that if you are wealthy enough, everyone who becomes wealthy enough will buy into a more or less white-only gated community. But I would not be able to afford that.
I mean, if I was like, hey, what do you think that fucking, what do they call them? The Nazi front? What do they call those idiots that march on the streets in the red shirts? Patriot Front idiots? Like, if you were like, hey, what do you think the Patriot Front people would look like if you ripped off their mask and took away their fucking, their khakis and their red shirts? Like, that's what I would draw. Like, AI would come out with him. That's like the depiction of what it would come out with right there. It'd be like, hey, that's what you're looking at, boss. If they were to jump out of that U-Haul right now without their mask on, that's who's be jumping out at you.
Working my entire life to build up a bunch of businesses, but I would like to have kids.
I want my kids to be...
Hey, he wants to have kids, and I wonder if his businesses are succeeding, especially after this video comes out.
Taught that their ancestors did great things, not that they were the villains of history.
Correct.
And again, that same rhetoric, how long has that been permeating through the Republicans? Like, we're so sick of hearing that we were the bad guys in history. We're so sick of hearing about the fucking atrocious shit that the United States and Americans have actually fucking perpetrated. Not us, but our ancestors. Like, just the simple act of acknowledging that is so much to these people that it literally pushes them into the fucking woods to create their own society. Above and beyond just say, okay, yes, there was some fucked up times in our past. We should absolutely acknowledge that. We should prevent that from ever happening again. And then we can kind of coexist as a society and realize that, times are a lot different now and we shouldn't be acting the way that people acted back then or treating people the way people were treated back then. I don't know, just something along those lines.
Arkansas is nice. As far as I know, the laws are you just need to let them know that you're going to be homeschooling. And then after that, there's no like testing that you need to do or.
Geez, I mean, I just can't understand why we're talking about such a low education rate in Arkansas. I mean, did you hear what she just said? Do you hear what she was just basically bragging about the lack of contact, the lack of attention that Arkansas gives to people that basically just say, all they have to say is I'm homeschooling my kid. And then there's no checkups. There's no testing. There's nobody sent out to make sure that you're actually doing the proper schooling, the proper work for that grade, for whatever your age your son or daughter may be, right? Nothing. And I wonder why it's so hard to figure out why the educational, the education system in Arkansas is such shit, and maybe why there's such a high poverty, I don't know. It's weird how that works. But listen,
that their ancestors did great things, not that they were the villains of history.
Correct. And Arkansas is nice. As far as I know, the laws are you just need to let them know that you're going to be homeschooling. And then after that, there's no like testing that you need to do or they don't really check up on you.
The first community.
That's good because what's crazy to me is, if there were, say, I don't know, people going out there supposed to be, checking up on the schooling, they might be at the same time able to, hey, recognize that this fucking little encampment that you're living in is no place for a child, is not suitable an environment to raise a child in. That there are, fucking far more dangers in and around where you're living than if you had, I don't know, maybe a house somewhere or put your trailer somewhere more, I don't know, convenient or around. You know what I mean? Like, you would also be able to recognize these situations, right? So inevitably more children would be saved, right? Less children would be harmed just by sending people around to check on the children to see and make sure that the homeschooling that their parents promised were actually going on. So you see how that could kind of work into the benefit of the children that you say you wanted to protect?
That really went after us was the R/Jewish subreddit. I had
Man,
CPS.
that's weird. I don't know why, because you later hear that he's got a copy of Mein Kampf and actually doesn't, believe that Hitler did anything wrong in terms of the Holocaust. So I'm blanking on a reason why the Jewish community on Reddit would have a problem with your community.
Come out here because they had complained to CPS trying to get my kids taken away. The health department has come out here. They just blanket made complaints to everyone. I mean, I do have Mein Kampf, but I think that's just historically relevant.
Who wrote that one?
Mein Kampf?
Yeah.
Hitler.
Oh, shit.
He's sort of the central villain of the 20th century. So if you don't understand what he thought, then you're, again, missing a big piece of history. Did he make mistakes? I believe so.
What do you think the biggest mistake was?
Invading the Sudetenland.
None of the other stuff.
The other stuff? Well, it depends on what you mean.
Just like the Holocaust and everything.
Holocaust? I don't know about all that.
Everybody thinks gang.
I'm sorry. You said about the Holocaust, you said you don't know about all that? Meaning like you need to, I don't know, maybe be taught more about it, or you don't know about all that in terms of whether or not that was something wrong that Hitler did? Because again, what you were thinking about this community, right when I said, hey, an all-white community in Arkansas, you probably had an image in your head. You just actually proved that image to be true. Absolutely. The same thing you were thinking and how they probably got to this community is exactly how they got to this community. The same things that you think they believe in are the same things that they do believe in. And again, I'll play that one more time. And again, I believe this kid goes on to say that he is a groyper.
What you mean?
Just like the Holocaust and everything.
Holocaust? I don't know about all that.
Everybody thinks Genghis Khan is cool and he killed more people than Hitler. The question is like how fast that will.
Everybody thinks Genghis Khan is cool and he killed more people than Hitler. Now, I don't know how many people I've ever run into in my life that have been like, dude, you know who is fucking like epically cool? You know who is fucking wicked fucking cool? Was that like Genghis Khan dude? Like he was sick, bro. You know, the guy that killed and raped and brutally fucking murdered and dismembered and tortured millions and millions of people. Yeah, that guy, he was fucking, ooh, if we only got a chance to throw back some beers with Genghis, right? Oh man, that would have been the fucking time. That would have been the night. I've never heard anybody say it. Never heard. And in terms of actually what I do think of when I hear about Genghis Khan is that that Top Gear episode. I believe it was actually the Grand Tour where they went to Mongolia and they were kind of talking about the history of the area and what happened and how brutal he was. So even Jeremy fucking Clarkson, who at one point said Meghan Markle should be walked through the streets of London to have shit thrown at her, right? Even he was like, okay, Genghis Khan was a brutal, maniacal fucking psychopath. Like he even had the wherewithal to be like, okay, that's a guy that we don't idolize, but not these people, not them, not the Groypers. And he says it here. I think he says it's like a win for the Groypers or something along those lines.
Genghis Khan is cool and he killed more people than Hitler. The question is like how fast that will take for Hitler to be as cool as Genghis Khan. I don't know.
Total brown Groyper victory.
What's your favorite thing to cook?
I like making tacos. It's fun.
So you're an all-white community trying to be based upon purely European traditions, and you have a fucking taco night? So you moved away from the people that you dislike only to steal their food? Because you like their food so much? Oh, they just never fucking ceases to amaze me. Never.
Despite the fact that we do have, taco nights sometimes, we also have traditional European food nights. I really love breaded chicken, like fried chicken. I like pizza. I like typical stuff.
I don't want to live around black people, but boy, do I love fried chicken. Fuck them Mexicans, but hey, come over for taco night. What? Oh, boy. It's like they're playing the stereotypes up even more on that, like, you know what I mean? Like they're trying to big up the stereotypes here. I don't know. Like it seems like that way at least.
Look, I was a big Dr. Dre guy for like.
You strike me as one. You strike me as one. And again, not that I probably strike people as a Dr. Dre fan. I grew up listening to Dr. Dre myself, so I should probably not piss on the same kettle. But what are you gonna do? But definitely doesn't strike me as somebody that grew up bumping Dr. Dre, especially with the things that you espouse now.
teenage years when I was like working out and everything like that. But then I was
at least I'm still represented. Where is it? Wu-Tang. President's a temporary, but Wu-Tang is forever. I mean, you can still see where's Tupac's up here somewhere. He's over there. We got 50. We got all the good ones over there. Bob Marley. There's Tupac over here. I mean, come on. At least I'm still somewhat right. Look at this guy. What are you doing, bro?
like, I don't think it is as soothing to my soul. And that goes back to just like anthropological data that we have about the difference between like rhythm and harmony.
What about you?
I don't listen to rap music. I listen to gospel music.
Okay.
You sure? You look like you listen to rap. Are you sure? You look like you look like you're bumping everywhere you go.
Favorite gospel artist?
Probably Skillet.
You say
listen to what she considers gospel music. Listen to what she considers gospel, and we'll get out of this after. Listen to this.
Skillet.
Skillet. What do they sing about?
It's like a rock Christian band.
Okay, cool.
This is
hardcore. We love Jesus.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. There's an I love Jesus message somewhere hidden in there. Oh fuck! I didn't hear that in my local church when I was growing up. I just didn't. That wasn't the type of music they were playing. The gospel that they were playing was just slightly different than that gospel. Slightly different. Yeah, you got it right. You got it right. Trad wife. I mean, yeah, the same people. Groypers, trad wife. Women belong in the kitchen. This is them. This is them. So you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Can Greeks live here?
They're European.
How about Central Asian Caucasians?
They're not European.
But the Caucasus Mountains, Caucasian ancestral birthplace, is technically in Central Asia.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. Some Italian.
Fucking Christ! They don't even have the correct like history down to even represent what their true beliefs are, right? But let's move on. We don't have to continue on that. I just wanted to kind of point that out to everybody. But Jesus H Christ! But that's it's only about 40 minutes long, so you can check that out. Andrew Callahan, Channel 5. But let's dive into a little bit of what's been going on between United States, Ukraine, Russia, because Vladimir Putin came out today with some statements that absolutely do not sound like the statements of somebody that is ready to end this war. Doesn't sound like the statements of anybody that is ready to negotiate for peace. And again, was just another slap in the face of Donald Trump, thinking he can control this man, thinking that he has this situation under control by any stretch. Vladimir Putin doing a whole hell of a lot to put this strictly and more solely on NATO now. Doing a lot to try to make it seem like that NATO is to blame again. So let's just dive into a little bit of, I have a couple videos here pertaining to this from a lot of the people that we've been watching in this area, so we can get some good insight. Sorry, that's not the one. Sorry about the fist pumps. All right, let's start with this one. This is the professor, and he says, Putin says NATO is why he refuses peace talks. And again, we're just going to skim through a few of these. We got the professor. We got Preston Stewart here talking about Russia prepares for more war. And then we got the military show talking about the perfect trap at Pokrovsk that the Ukrainians set for the Russians. So that's going to be interesting to talk about. And then we got this media monitor clip that I wanted to show you, because this actually has Vladimir Solyevov literally saying that the United States is going to be teaming up with Russia to fight Europe. Again, wild stuff, but he actually sees that the way that things are going and the way that Trump wants to see things go, it's more likely that Russia and the United States will be on the same side at some point. Again, that's if we have time to get into that. There's a bunch of these, but let's dive into this first one here by the professor. I really appreciate you guys. Slava Ukraini, Heroyam Slava. Hit that like button. I really do appreciate it. Let's hop in.
Okay, hello, my friends. It is Wednesday, December 17th, 2025. And Putin's playing the blame game. He's now saying that they can't end the war, not because of Ukraine, but because of NATO, because NATO is the big threat. NATO is aggressive toward Russia. You'll see what I'm talking about in just a moment. Okay, let's start here. This is a translation from an Irish journalist, Brian McDonald. Putin speaking just now in Moscow. This is his translation. Today, the global geopolitical situation remains tense, and in some regions, it's already reached a critical point. NATO countries are actively building up and modernizing their offensive capabilities, rolling out new weapon systems, including in space. At the same time, people in Western Europe are being deliberately frightened with talk of an inevitable clash with Russia. They're being told to get ready for a...
Have you guys been talking about that? Has anybody been talking to you about a potential clash between Russia and the United States? Are we preparing for war? So clearly just more Russian propaganda, clearly just bullshit coming from Putin here, right?
Major war, and a number of people who once held or still hold positions of responsibility seem to have completely forgotten what responsibility actually means. They're acting not in the interest of their countries or their people, but chasing short-term personal gains or serving narrow elite interests. Now, if that sounds familiar, it should, because he's recycling some of his major talking points here, but he's basically saying NATO is the problem here, and he's not the only one. Here's Belyusov, his defense minister, taking into
now tell me what you notice about this statement. This is a good one. This is a good one to look at, because look at what he's talking about in this statement, and then tell me if you remember who is the one bragging about making the NATO countries actually do this. Right? Think about this. Listen to what he's about to say here. So I'll
account the gradual.
I'll even read it myself. So it says, quote, taking into account the gradual increase of up to 5% from the national GDP, NATO's budget will grow by more than 1.5 times, up to $2.7 trillion. Who forced NATO to up their military budgets? Who forced NATO to increase their military spending in terms of national defense as it relates to their GDP? Anybody? Anybody? Donald fucking Trump. Donald fucking Trump is the one that brags about forcing NATO in the meetings to, spend more of their GDP in terms of defense. So now what Russia is doing is they're using what Donald Trump forced NATO to do as justification to say, hey, look at this military buildup. We need to, prepare for further engagement, further war, because obviously, because they've now started spending more on national defense, that means they're ready to engage in something, or they're willing to engage in something. So Donald Trump instructed or forced them to do it, basically with threats of the United States pulling out. And now Russia is using that thing that Donald Trump did to NATO in order to justify their ongoing actions, their ongoing aggression. See how that works? See how that works? One hand kind of feeds the other there. One hand scratches the other one. Fucking nuts.
Increase of up to 5% from the national GDP. NATO's budget will grow by more than.
And I'm surprised it's not brought up here. And I'll just for the sake of time and because I read it, I'll go on here. But, I'm surprised it's not brought up by more people. Like, they're actually using the justification, the same thing, the exact thing that Trump wants to take credit for, the one that he fucking, again, put pressure on NATO to do. Because of and again, NATO was so willing to do it because they saw that Donald Trump had the complete inability to control Vladimir Putin. And if and when, Donald Trump was to allow Russia to continue this war, it would continuously put the other European countries at more risk. So that's why they were, again, they were forced into it, and it's good for them in the long run anyway. So, but I'm surprised more people don't kind of bring up that point.
Brent, okay, so let me put this in perspective for you. So it's like you were saying, the guy that lives on the corner of your street, he just got mugged, and the mugger is saying about the guy that lives on the corner of the street who he mugged, he's saying about the people next to him, like, hey, they're buying mace. They're a threat to me. These guys over here on the houses on either side, on around the corner on the other side of the street or on this side of the street, they're buying mace. I'm in danger here. I mean, like, when you put it in that perspective, it sounds kind of foolish, doesn't it? Okay, so here is Belyusov again. At the same time, we clearly see attempts by the European leaders and the Kyiv regime to avoid addressing this issue, he says. And again, he's going to continue. This involves prolonging the conflict with the aim of weakening our country as much as possible. Simultaneously, accelerated preparations have begun by the combined NATO armed forces for a confrontation with Russia around the turn of the 2030s. Such a policy creates real conditions for continuation of military actions into 2026. Like, this is the defense minister saying this.
And again, does that sound like a country that's ready to lay down its arms, ready to, again, sit at the negotiating table in good faith? Or does that sound someone like they're using excuses and, again, Russian propaganda produced straight from the fucking Kremlin to justify ongoing actions, even in, past 2026, right? I mean, it's pretty blatant. It's pretty obvious that Donald Trump has absolutely no control, and that Vladimir Putin has absolutely no, he doesn't want to listen to Donald Trump. He has no fucking intention on listening to Donald Trump, obeying his orders, obeying his wishes whatsoever, right? Basically, until they're initiated back into the G8 or, these economic fucking partnerships to set up with the United States, they're not going to be satisfied. They're never going to give in to Ukraine's demands whatsoever. And the quicker we realize that, the better off we'll be. The more we continuously arm Ukraine, the sooner we continuously arm Ukraine, the more we arm Ukraine, the better it is for not only the European countries and NATO in Ukraine, but also for ourselves. But again, this is another aspect of what's been going on here. This is Preston kind of diving into a similar story, a similar aspect here, talking about Putin's statements here and what it means and how it shows, how we can see that Russia is pretty much building up for more aggression and more war as opposed to, a peace deal in the works.
So Russia has made their stance very clear. Either Eastern Ukraine is given to them or they'll continue the war trying to take it. Ukraine sees that. NATO sees that. The European Union sees that. But in the United States, it kind of depends who you ask. I mean, President Putin today said that the objectives of the special military operation will be achieved. Quote, "We would prefer to do this through diplomacy, but if the opposing side and their foreign sponsors refuse to engage in substantive talks, Russia will liberate its historical lands by military means." He added that the war in Ukraine was started by destructive forces in Kyiv and in essence by the West, saying.
So again, when you just heard the professor say that he's recycling talking points and him being Vladimir Putin, you can tell they're bringing back this is the fault of NATO. They're bringing back this is the Nazis in Kyiv, right? I mean, they're pretty much going to use all of these talking points that we saw kind of vanish in the first few months of the war because they knew it was horseshit. Like he's trying to, again, reiterate and reignite those bullshit talking points to kind of show his defiance in this situation. And people are picking up on that pretty rapidly.
Russia is only trying to end it, to stop the war. So real quick, what Putin is saying is that these historical lands that are sovereign Ukrainian territory, Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, Kherson, and Crimea, are theirs, and they will be given to Russia in negotiations. If they're not, then those are not good faith negotiations, and they will continue fighting, trying to take over those territories. But at the same time, Russia didn't start this war. They're only having to do this because Ukraine started it, and the West started it. Make sense? No? You're right. It doesn't. Now, fortunately, a lot of people are kind of seeing through this, but not everyone. We got a couple clips from NATO, the EU, and then a pretty interesting one here from President Trump. But first, I want to give you an update on a fundraiser we kicked off a couple days ago for Cars for Ukraine. 4 different trucks to 2 different Ukrainian units. We're knocking it out of the park here. 41,000 euros raised in like a week.
I want to make sure to highlight
so
this
we've already
as well,
fully
because,
funded.
Anybody doing anything like this to, again, further the ability or the movement or anything of the Ukrainian military is good to see. I mean, to have raised over 41,000, I don't know, what's that, euro so far? Then, he's doing pretty good. He's trying to get up to, I think, a few trucks here. Christmas tree truck 2025, Preston Stewart. So if you could head over, if you have the ability to, head over to his website. I'm sure he has a link to this fund that you can help into. And again, these trucks, very, very similar to the ones that I drove across Ukraine to deliver to the Ukrainian military as well.
Trucks, and a couple of those are now in the process of being moved out east to the units in need. So we had a couple different units reach out saying we could really use some pickup trucks right now. The first was the 26th Field Artillery Brigade. They're out in the Kupiansk direction, Kupiansk and Pokrovsk. And then an elite special forces unit within the National Guard of Ukraine. Specific location there, unknown. Now, we got some nice videos on this site, the link in the description below, from both of these units, thanking you all for your support. Now, depending on the level of donation, we've got some patches here for Car for Ukraine, an organization that has provided nearly 800 vehicles already to frontline units. They've got this thing streamlined, start to finish. Pretty unique patch here from the 26th. And then we've only got room.
Basically, that is the truck. That's the truck that I drove. Besides, it wasn't green. It was silver at the time. I'm sure they had to respray it and paint it for, to make it, adequately efficient for the battlefield. But at the time, this is the exact truck that I drove through Ukraine to hand over to the Ukrainian military. I think it's pretty much not only the same type, same year, same model, same make, same everything. Right there. I mean, again, this has been outfitted for, for battle. Ours wasn't at the time. They still had to go through all those preparations, but still, same exact thing. So this kind of hits pretty close to home here. So again, he said he had the link underneath this video on his page. So again, if anybody has the time, the inclination, the ability to donate to, different fundraisers like this, then I would absolutely advise you to head over and check out this fundraiser here underneath this video on Preston's page. So again, any way we can help, any way we can fucking contribute, I would definitely advise you to do so, please.
Like maybe one or two more like this. We have some big donors already. This is incredible. But 2,500 euros or more, you get a custom message on the side of one of these vehicles. So again, knocking out of the park here, guys. This is so cool to see.
And if I'm not mistaken, when we were there, they said that the lifespan of these vehicles was about a week. If not a little less, maybe a little more. Right. So they weren't lasting very long. So no matter how much you think, it sounds like, hey, this organization sent 800 trucks. Well, I mean, again, if you think about them only lasting a week or two or a couple days, if not, a couple hours in some cases, then you can see the need and how much we need to continuously feed and fund these sort of things so they can continue to have this. Because again, a unit that is immobile, a unit that cannot get out of harm's way is, a dead duck. It's a sitting duck there. And, the lifeline of having a vehicle just to get out of a situation is more than comforting to the Ukrainian soldiers. And I'm telling you, they say this firsthand. This is what they were telling us, on the fucking ground. So I'm not making it up.
Excited that we're going to be able to, hopefully in the next week or two, be able to share some footage and pictures of these trucks being delivered to the frontline units that need them. So again, for anybody
pretty cool. Just wanted to make sure to highlight that from Preston. But let me throw this one on as well, because this kind of gives some pretty good highlights into what's been taking place in and around Pokrovsk as well. So apparently the Ukraine set the perfect trap at Pokrovsk, and the Russians charged straight into hell, as this military show video talks about. And again, if we have more time, I just want to make sure we don't run out of time. If we have more time, I'll dive back into a little bit more of Preston's video there, because he goes on. But again, for the sake of time, let me see if I can dive into just a couple minutes of this. Hit that like button. I really do appreciate it. Heroyam Slava to all of the brave soldiers. So let's go.
Isn't it strange that the beginning of December saw Russia claim that it had captured the city of Pokrovsk? Yet here we are, 2 weeks later, and Russia is still launching attacks in Pokrovsk. If we didn't know any better, we'd say the Kremlin was lying about the fall of the city. Pokrovsk still stands, and Russia's attacks on the city are still going about as well as they have been throughout December. This time, Vladimir Putin's forces attempted a surprise assault at Pokrovsk in an attempt to complete the conquest that the Kremlin claimed weeks ago. Ukraine was ready for the assault and crushed it so quickly that it barely got off the ground.
Here's something, ladies and gentlemen. Here's something. I'm noticing a little bit more blue. I'm noticing a little bit more blue on the deep state map here. Let me see if I can make that big. What are we talking about here? You see the blue? Blue means liberated. Blue means liberated. So we're right near Ivanivka, and it looks like about 8.5 square kilometers has been recently liberated. Let's see here. Is that from yesterday, the day before, or am I did I miss that on the battlefield? Looks like it goes back several days. So maybe I missed that one on the battlefield because everybody's been focusing on Pokrovsk and Kupiansk. That's my fault. The right hand up on that one. Right hand up on that one. But yeah, that's good to see. More blue. All the blue that we could see, the better. But yeah, let's go into, I just want to take a look at Pokrovsk real quick and see if there's anything else. See if there's anything else taking place right here. There's Pokrovsk. Nope, still doesn't show that the entire city is taken up, guys. Still doesn't show. Still shows pretty much the same, if I'm not mistaken, a little bit more disputed territory in this area. But other than that, not any substantial movement as far as territory gained or lost in Pokrovsk over the last couple days. So again, that's good to see. Goes directly in the face of all of the Russian reporting, all of the Russian propaganda saying that this town has been completely taken over. So yeah, good to see. Good to see. Good to see.
In the latest frontline report published by Euromaidan Press, the outlet reveals that geolocated footage shows an entire Russian column attempted to launch an assault against Pokrovsk. That column didn't get...
No, and that's a good point there, Santa Dog, because, they'll talk... I forget if it's in this video or the last one, but they do talk about a drastic increase in the amount of drone operators and, drone activity, basically unleashing all of what they have to try to make up for the lack of... defensive territory still in the area that they have. So yes, you're 100% right. And no, they absolutely are not playing around. They have been, their skills have been honed to a point is almost unfathomable at this point at how not only creative, but like artistic they are with these drones, what they can do with them, how you pretty much, you can look for hiding areas, but they're few and far between in places where you could actually hide from some of these drones and drone operators. So you're 100% right there, Dan. Appreciate you, brother.
Far, within a kilometer or about 0.62 miles of the column's staging area, there now lies the detritus of another failed Russian assault. Worst of all for Russia, this wasn't one of the many on-foot assaults that Putin has ordered in the battle for Pokrovsk. The Russian soldiers were on motorcycles, and they still got shredded into pieces by Ukrainian drones that were lying in wait for their arrival. Russia thought it had planned the perfect sneak attack, but it just sent more of its soldiers into a trap that Ukraine sprung with brutal efficiency. Russia had the smart idea for its sneaky lightning assault because it had spent the last few weeks failing to penetrate into Pokrovsk, north of the railway line that runs into the city. Ukraine needs to hold that railway line as the
Now, let's see if we can take a look at on the map. Where are those railway lines? Let's see. Can I highlight railway lines? Let's see here. Settings. Railways. Railways are lit up. Show defensive lines, dark maps, landfill, bond areas. It says railways should be on there. Let me see if I can take off everything except for railways, and maybe that'll make it more detailed. Let's see here. Because it says they were talking about these roadways here going through Pokrovsk. You can see these ones just these are the ones that were just highlighted there. But I'm not sure where exactly. Doesn't really highlight very well where the railways are. Maybe it'll tell me in this video here. It's kind of hard to see once you scroll in so far. It kind of gets blurry. But let me see. Let's hop back to here, and they kind of give us a detailed, accurate depiction of where these rail lines are and how in danger they are.
The Voice of Ukraine revealed in a November 21st report on one of Russia's many failed assaults. Keeping the railway line open ensures Ukraine still has an entry point into Pokrovsk that serves future liberations, as well as an escape route for those soldiers who are currently defending against Russia from inside the city. Toward the end of November, the new Voice of Ukraine reported Ukraine had started adjusting its defensive tactics by increasing the number of unmanned aerial vehicle or UAV crews operating in key locations, such as the Pokrovsk Railway. Russia ended up feeling the brunt of that strategy shift during its surprise assault, but we'll come back to that later in the video. First, Russia had to actually stage its attack. Having figured out that its soldiers were making no headway in the direction of the railway line, Russia decided that the western flank would be a better target.
Now, where exactly is he saying the railway line is? Is he calling this the railway line? Is that what they're calling the railway line? Let me see here. My apologies. I just want to, to better, more accurately understand what he's talking about. I think what he's talking about is this one here, but I'm not 100% sure. Not 100% sure. It looks like that's the one he's kind of highlighting, if not this right here. But this looks like it's really, this part's already under, we'll have to figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Entirely, with Russia's forces instead advancing toward the settlement of Rashena that sits on the outskirts of Pokrovsk. On the surface, it seems like a smart approach for several reasons. In addition to Russia no longer throwing soldiers into a railway meat grinder, a successful attack on Rashena also allows Russia to take a step closer toward isolating the northern regions of Pokrovsk that its forces have yet to capture. The pressure on Pokrovsk would grow as Russia's soldiers could endanger Ukraine's supply routes while pushing on from a new staging area to make the multi-front assault on the city even more intense. Forcing a Ukrainian withdrawal is the ultimate goal, as Euromaidan Press says. Russia is desperate to avoid more of the direct assaults and house-to-house urban combat that has seen Ukraine churn through Russia's troops ever since Putin ordered the capture of Pokrovsk. Russia would much rather...
They haven't changed their tactics. That's the crazy thing. They just haven't changed their tactics. They're hoping desperately to avoid those types of things, but they're the tactics that they use going into these cities almost pretty much guarantees that that's what they're going to have to do. Go into house to house, rubble after rubble to try to clear these, Ukrainian units from the area. So it doesn't look like on one hand they know what they have to avoid, but they don't look like they're implementing any of those policies, any of those tactics to actually avoid those situations. And what it gets even crazier is, we talk about, Vladimir Putin's, message today, his statements today, and how it definitely doesn't sound like a country ready to end this war. But think about how the Russian state propaganda, the Russian state media is talking about this as well. Just listen to how they believe. And again, this has to be something either condoned or, basically put out there on purpose by Russian state media, condoned by the state itself, considering how we know this operates, how we know Russian media operates. They're either okay with this is true, or this is actually what they think. Right? So listen to what they actually say here about the cooperation between the United States, specifically because of Donald Trump, and Russia in this. Listen to what Solovyev says here. This is pretty remarkable what he decides to say. And again, whether this is just a ploy, a tactic, propaganda to get a reaction or whatnot, I mean, it's clearly being said to Russians on one of the most prominently watched shows as far as, I don't know what they call this, news or politics or whatnot, but, a heavily watched news program in their country.
Надо себя сдерживать. Уничтожать. Война надолго. Даже если сейчас, благодаря
He says this war is a long one, even if, and thanks to Trump's efforts, our righteous demands will be fulfilled. So thanks to Trump, Russia's demands will be fulfilled, is what's being said here on Russian state media.
Справедливые требования, сформулированные верховным главнокомандующим нашей страны.
So basically the plan formulated by Vladimir Putin and relayed by Donald Trump is going to give Russia the ability to get everything they want. So check this out, though, because he goes on to, and I think it's at 10:30 here in this one. And this is just a quick little clip. I'm not going to take too long on this one. But check out what he says here as well. He says, this is a dust collector. And by the way, if Americans want to protect their investments,
если американцы хотят защитить свои инвестиции,
they can fight Ukrainian drones.
Поставить и повоевать с украинскими бэками беспилотниками.
With their air defenses. So he wants now the United States to fight Ukrainian drones with American air defenses.
Своей системы ПВО. Хотите поставить?
Do you want to put your air defense systems
у нас на территории проверить ваши системы ПВО
on our territory, on Russian territory, and test them against your own shit?
Что же говна? Давайте. Защитите свои инвестиции.
Go ahead, defend your investments.
Я, кстати, не удивлюсь.
By the way, I won't be surprised. Listen to this. By the way, I won't be surprised if at some point in time,
в какой-то момент времени,
combined groups of Russian and American combat troops,
совместные боевые расчеты российско-американских войск будут
will storm German, Belgian, French, and British cities. He sees a time in which Russia and the United States will be fighting side by side to invade Germany, Belgium, France, and Britain. Is this what's being said behind the scenes by Witkoff? Like, what is happening right now? Did he suck back a couple too much, fucking grams of vodka before he went on stage here? What's happening?
Немецкие, бельгийские, французские и английские города.
Says you may see all sorts of things.
Чего только не увидишь. Притом освобождать.
We will be liberating nation states from oppression, yada, yada. He goes on. It's ridiculous. But again, he seriously is either using that ploy, right, to say, okay, if we go out there and announce that, Donald Trump is working with Russia so closely and in such tight cooperation and Steve Witkoff that we're guaranteed to get everything that we want. And not only that, don't be surprised that if you see Russia and America fighting side by side, like clearly he either believes that, they're delusional enough to believe that. That's what they're being told by the Americans, or they know that propaganda, this type of rhetoric, can be used again to put Donald Trump in a more difficult position, and they're just kind of playing with Donald Trump at this point. There's only like one of three different options that it possibly can be. But again, it's fucking crazy. But, because I do have a few more minutes, let's dive back into this Preston Stewart video, because he goes on to talk about a little more of what's been happening with Russia preparing for more war and a little bit on the frontier. So let's talk about it.
From a number of officials here talking about what they're seeing out of Russia with these ceasefire talks. President Zelensky is kind of like, I feel like he's got to be so frustrated, just saying, are you guys seeing this? Do you see this? He's not actually interested in peace. He put out a long statement today where Zelensky said, quote, "Today, we again heard signals from Moscow that they are preparing to make next year a year of war. These signals are not only for us. It is crucial that our partners see them, and not only see them, but also respond. especially partners in the United States, who often say that Russia wants to end the war. The courage of all partners is required to see the truth, acknowledge the truth, and act accordingly. I want to thank everyone who supports Ukraine. And it's been a similar message coming out of NATO and the European Union. NATO Secretary General.
I mean, he's basically saying everything he possibly can besides, hey, wake the fuck up. Like all you fucking morons that think Russia is like, you know, playing towards peace and the ones that want to end the aggression, like wake the fuck up. When are you going to start listening to what they're fucking doing and what they're saying as opposed to what their, you know, their propagandists and their fucking spies are telling you behind the scenes? Like, look at what's actually happening. Look at what they're actually saying. This is happening today. This is what he said today. Wake the fuck up is basically what Zelensky is saying without saying as many words.
Mark Rutte, just about a week ago, put out a statement saying, hey, war is coming. We need to be prepared.
Russia has brought war back to Europe. And we must be prepared for the scale of war our grandparents and great-grandparents endured. Imagine it. A conflict reaching every home, every workplace. Destruction, mass mobilization, millions displaced, widespread suffering, and extreme losses. It is a terrible thought. But if we deliver on our commitments, this is a tragedy we can prevent. NATO is here to protect 1 billion people on both sides of the Atlantic.
Do you remember when the president of the United States used to sound like this? Remember when we had somebody, whether or not you agreed with his politics or disagreed with his politics, right? Whether or not you hated the man, whether or not you fucking, whatever it was. Remember, at least we had a period in time where the president of the United States at least knew how to sound somewhat presidential. I mean, obviously take away George W. in that one, but, you know, just on the world stage, to be able to present themselves as somebody level-headed, somebody that understands what the fight means, what the situation means, what the dangers are, how to speak about, helping people that are not in the position to help themselves. Remember when that was a fucking thing, right? It bugs me to hear, other leaders speaking like this. Kind of shows me what we've been missing in this country since Donald Trump arrived in fucking politics.
Mission is to protect you, your families, your friends, and your future. We cannot let down our guard, and we won't. I count on our governments to keep up with their commitments and go further and faster, because we cannot falter or fail. Listen to the sirens across Ukraine. Look at the bodies pulled from the rubble. Think of the Ukrainians who might go to sleep tonight and not wake up tomorrow. And what a standing between what's happening.
How hard would it be for Donald Trump to put that in any one of his statements talking about this war? Have you heard him even try to once relate himself to, the plight of the Ukrainian people and what they're feeling on a daily basis? No, what you talk about is he either tells the wrong number of people that have died in a week, or he makes sure to emphasize that, it's soldiers, without even recognizing, without even acknowledging the civilians in the situation that they've been put in, or the civilians that have been killed, or the civilians that have been raped and murdered, or the children that have been kidnapped. None of those things are ever spoken about by Donald Trump in this instance. The main points of aggression, the war crimes, not brought up to force Russia to again, throw down their arms, throw down their weapons. Not something that the United States is willing to take on at this point in time.
Happening to them, and what could happen to us. Only NATO. I have a duty as Secretary General to tell you what lies ahead if we don't act faster, invest in defense, and continue our support for Ukraine.
Now, of course, across Russian media, they heard this and said, hey, look, NATO is preparing for war against us. This is an offensive operation. But I think Rutte did a pretty good job of saying, like, hey, Russia brought war back to the continent, and they're still there. If we don't act now, we're only going to kick this down the road into a larger conflict at some point in the future, which is very similar to the message being relayed by the European Union. Here's Kaja Kallas talking about Putin's endgame. Just a hint, it doesn't stop in Ukraine.
Well, what we have to keep in mind is that why countries want to be in NATO is because they don't want Russia to invade them, to attack them. And that's why, Sweden and Finland joined NATO. That's why the Baltic states joined NATO, to have this defense umbrella, really. Now, if this is not in question, or this is out of the question, then we need to see what are the security guarantees that are tangible. They can't be, papers or promises. They have to be, real troops, real capabilities, so that Ukraine is able to defend itself. We have to understand that Donbas is not Putin's endgame. If it gets Donbas, then the fortress is down, and then they definitely move on with taking the whole of Ukraine. And
so much more on point, so much more succinct, so much more concise than any statement that has come out of any representative, politician, administrator, envoy ever since this has started, since in Donald Trump's fucking regime, right? Just totally on point, living in reality, clear, concise, talking about the dangers. Like, how hard? It's not very fucking difficult. It's not very difficult.
If Ukraine goes, then other regions are also in danger. We know this from the history, and we should learn from history.
Now, I think those are both great messages coming from NATO and the European Union. They've been pretty consistent for quite a while now. I think you all know my frustration here. We voiced it quite a bit, is they're talking the talk. They're not really walking the walk. The door has been open. The United States has stepped back. I think it's been very clear for a while now that the U.S., at least this administration, is not interested in leading the support of Ukraine as they continue to fight back and try to defend themselves against Russia. So if the U.S. isn't going to do it, who is? And we've seen a bunch of, NATO group meetings, the Coalition of the Willing. There was just a meeting in Berlin, and I got it, but I feel like somebody still needs to step up. There needs to be somebody taking charge here. It doesn't seem to be Rutte, doesn't seem to be Kallas. I'm not sure if it's going to be the UK or Germany or Poland, but it seems like the opportunity is still there and nobody has jumped quite yet. So again, would like to see more action here. A lot of talk, a lot of kind of posturing. Let's actually see something moved into the execution phase to try to take over.
The problem is, they still have to deal with Donald Trump in the United States, right? They are definitely caught between a rock and a hard place as this is concerned, where they definitely want to play hardball with Vladimir Putin. They know what the dangers are, but and on the other hand, they know that they have to rely upon the United States in some way, shape, or form. And again, I think they're a little bit unwilling right now to totally detach themselves from that aspect of still having to kind of kiss the ass of Donald Trump, so suck up to him in order to continuously have his support, or at least the support of the United States. And again, the quicker they realize that Donald Trump is never going to be on their side, is never going to help them in the way that they need to be helped, and they need to step up themselves at this point in time, the more beneficial it will be to not only themselves, but the Ukrainian people as well. You know what I mean? As terrible as that is to say, as an American, as embarrassing as that is to say, as an American, that's just the reality that we live in at this point in time.
What the United States has stepped away from. Now, turning to the United States, some mixed messaging here in recent days. We talked about this in a previous video, but there was this Vanity Fair article quoting Susie Wiles, the White House chief of staff, and there was a lot in there in a lot of different directions. But specific to Ukraine, they said, quote, Trump's team was divided on whether Putin's goal was anything less than a complete Russian takeover of Ukraine. The experts think that if he could get the rest of Donetsk, then he would be happy, Wiles told me in August. But privately, Trump wasn't buying it. He didn't believe Putin wanted peace. Trump only thinks he wants the whole country, Wiles told me. Then in October, he asked Marco Rubio if that was true. Quote, Rubio said, there are offers on the table right now to basically stop this war at its current line of contact, which includes substantial parts of Ukrainian territory, including Crimea, which they've controlled since 2014. And the Russians continue to turn it down. And so you start to wonder, well, maybe what this guy wants is the entire country. So I think a good...
Right. And it sounds like Donald Trump behind the scenes absolutely knows that, right? But it also seems like he's willing to help him do that and complete that goal. And not only that, but reward him for undertaking this brutal invasion in the first place. So on one hand, he's telling everybody that he knows that Putin wants peace. Steve Witkoff saying in the release, those leaked fucking messages that we saw saying, he said blatantly that he knows that Russia wants peace and is the only side that wants peace. But really what's going on behind the scenes is they know Vladimir Putin's real intent, and they're going to do everything they possibly can to help him get that goal accomplished, right? To extend the deadlines, to get what, even if it does come to a negotiation, Steve Witkoff helping the Russians get the most favorable outcome, as opposed to helping the Ukrainians against our enemy. So you can see how that's working too.
The question there is exactly what experts in the White House are saying, that Putin will be satisfied with just Donetsk, when even Putin says that's not the case. And we got a clip from today that maybe speaks to that a little bit. Here's President Trump on how Witkoff knows nothing about Russia, but he's a pretty nice guy. So I don't know, maybe that counts for something.
But Steve Witkoff was great. Jared Kushner was great. And, Jared's a brilliant guy, we all know. But Steve's a great deal maker. But I noticed one thing about him. He had the greatest personality. He was a real estate guy in New York. He knew less about rivers and meets and bounds in Russia and the various places he's working on. He knew nothing about it. But I recognize.
Do you understand what he's saying right here? Do you understand what's being said right now by the President of the United States? The man that he appointed special envoy to this current situation has no prior knowledge of anything having to do with Russia, Russians, the relationship between Russia and Ukraine, the history of Russia and Ukraine. Nothing. Not a fucking thing. But because he was a business buddy, a real estate fucking mogul, tycoon, whatever, he's now been thrust into this position of fucking negotiating one of the, if not the largest conflict since World War II, one of the most destructive wars in Europe since World War II. Think of what the fuck he's saying right now, guys. Think of what the fuck he is saying.
As for 20
Good
years,
God.
I've been dealing with everybody in New York. I said, Steve has the best personality. I have other guys that are great deal makers, but you have to go into World War III before the deal. We didn't want that. I said, everybody loves Steve. He's a great deal maker, but everybody loves him. And that's what turned out to be. People love Steve. And I think we're going to be pretty close. I mean, we're going to see. I thought the easiest war to settle would.
How long are you going to be pretty close there, dickhead? How long are you going to be pretty close? He's been saying he's pretty close for a long fucking time now. Doesn't seem to be any closer. As a matter of fact, judging by Vladimir Putin's statements today, we're further away than we ever have been in terms of your second administration, your second fucking run here. I mean, just absolutely asinine. But all right, let's see. Is there any reaction? I want to see if there's any reaction to Trump's non-existent speech that he tried to make. Let me see if I can pop this on the screen here. Is there any reaction? I don't know. I think people were kind of expecting a lot different, or a lot more from this announcement. Let's see. Is there anything else? Listening to Trump's speech. Looks like he's in a straitjacket. I'm listening to Trump's speech, and I don't think I've ever heard this many lies per minute. He's trying to kill the fact checkers. Oh, Jesus. What else? Trump's speech in a GIF so far. Old man yells at cloud. I knew people were going to have this reaction. I am finishing the day where I started it. Trump is 100% unhinged. I don't think he has said one true thing in the first few minutes of his speech. This lying piece of shit is unfit to serve in any office in America. Harry says, and Donald Trump sounds like sounds like total shit during this pointless speech. He's lying, stumbling over his words, and rambling incoherently. Total disaster. Visual representation of Trump's speech tonight. The only real part of this dumbass Trump speech, I'm not sure what he says here, but it's probably not real. Breaking CNN. Oh, let's do the fact check. Holy shit. This ought to be good. This ought to be good. I hope, is this going to be one of those like Jim Carrey skits where he has to like suck in as much air as humanly possible, and he's going to try to spit out all the fucking fact checks? Let's see if we can dive into this. Let's dive into this real quick.
Daniel, obviously we heard a lot from the president squeezed into those 15 minutes that were allotted to him. The White House makes that request to the networks. What did you hear in the president's remarks?
Caitlin, that was a fact check it, half asleep kind of presidential speech. So many of these claims have been debunked so many times. For example, the president said inflation is stopped. As Harry pointed out, it's not stopped. It's 3%. In fact, September, that 3% rate was the fifth consecutive month inflation had increased. The president also said that he inherited the worst inflation. He said some might say in the history of the country. Again, he inherited 3% inflation in January. Even the 9.1% peak of the Biden era in June 2022 was about a 40-year high.
Oh, you can't make it up.
Nowhere close to the all-time high of more than 23%. He spoke of cutting prescription drug prices by 400 to 600%. Those figures are mathematically impossible. If you cut it by more than 100%, people would get paid to get their medications, which of course is not happening.
Oh, it's literally mathematically impossible. I love it. I love it. I love when the president of the United States goes on to national television to make a fucking televised address of something that is mathematically impossible. It's not even possible. Not even possible.
He said the price of eggs has fallen, which is true, but then he said everything else is falling rapidly. Everything else is not falling rapidly. In fact, even on groceries in particular, far more products have increased in price this term than have decreased. He said again, he secured $18 trillion in investment this year. That number is total fiction. Even the White House website uses a figure of $9.6 trillion. And my detailed review found that that figure was a wild exaggeration, accounting vague promises, vague, not even promises.
Wait a minute. So this is like the immigration numbers, right? Like Donald Trump says 400 trillion immigrants. Meanwhile, the politicians kind of dumb it down a little bit. They say like 10 to 12. Meanwhile, the real number is even less than that, right? So along the same lines as that is this guy actually now just making shit up out of whole cloth? Fucking beautiful. Hold on. What does he say here? One more time. Hold on. I gotta see. What is this one he says?
A wild exaggeration, accounting vague promises, vague, not even promises.
What does the White House say? Oh, 9.6. The White House says 9.6 trillion, right? And we're talking about in like tariff revenue, I believe. Donald Trump says 20 something, right? And the actual number that he says is much lower than the 9.6. They use the same tactics in everything. They do not have a fucking change of tactics. That's great. All right.
He spoke of some states hitting $1.99 for gas. The lowest state average today is closer to $2.40. About 100 stations out of about 150,000 stations are below $2, according to the firm Gas Buddy. He also talked about immigration, made false claims there, saying that an army of 25 million people invaded the country under President Biden. Leaving aside this army rhetoric.
I'm telling you, I didn't even know that was coming. Same fucking thing. There must be like 70 million people at this point. It might be like 330. You never know.
The number was not even close to 25 million. It was under 11 million, and that counts millions of people who were rapidly expelled from the country. Crime was nowhere close to record high under President Biden. He has not settled, President Trump has not settled 8 wars. That list includes various wars, various situations that were not even wars, and some conflicts that have not actually been resolved. I could go on. I don't have time. So visit CNN.com and we'll have a full list later.
Oh my God. Let's see. Is that up yet? Oh, I got to see that. Hold on. CNN.com. I gotta check. I gotta check to see if that's up there. Can you search CNN? They might not be up yet. Let's see. Fact check. I'll just type in fact check, see if that works. Is this the whole thing? No, that's December 2nd, December 5th. So December 17th. Let me see how long this is. This is no, that's the same clip we just watched. So all right, so at some point CNN's going to have a full list of the fact checks up on the website. That should be something that they have to go through. Probably going to take all of their characters up. But yeah, let's see if there's anything else that these people are calling out in terms of Donald Trump's speech. We got a couple minutes left, then I'll get you guys out of here. Let's see here. The governor. I will give an official rebuke to Trump's speech. Before his speech, he is not the greatest president since Lincoln. We don't have the greatest economy in history. He did not invent magnets. Venezuela did nothing wrong except exist when Epstein files are due. His hands are tiny. Put out by the is this a parody account of Governor Newsom's press conference? It says parody, but who knows? Half the shit he puts out now is just a parody for Donald Trump anyway, so you never know. Let's see. I'm hearing this speech correctly. Donald Trump is God, and he has solved every problem the United States has ever faced. I lost track of how many lies Donald Trump has said during his speech thus far. So Donald Trump just decided to spew off fake facts like he's campaigning since his approval ratings are taking a dive. The only actual announcements are apparently currently military and vets getting 1,776, and Trump's Trump RX site is live. Did I miss anything in that ridiculous speech? Is Trump reading a speech or is this off the dome? Because what the fuck is he saying? Laughing my ass off. President Trump's speech to the nation. Like this is supposed to be a serious address to the American people, or is this a comedy sketch? Looks like everybody's on the same page. People already posting the fact check. Unreal. Just another speech where Trump talks about his accomplishments. No new policies. Myra says, let's see. Any network that decides to air Rob Reiner film instead of Trump's speech tomorrow is a hero. Oh, that was the other day. Instead of watching Trump's speech tonight, watch a Rob Reiner movie. Oh, Jesus. So you can see, ladies and gentlemen, everybody's pretty much on the same page. Even people that once supported Donald Trump can see that he's completely lost it. He's now apparently making random addresses because of his low approval rating. Because how he's taking a beating in elections all over the country. So it's a good thing to see. But let me see if I can check in with people on the old Venmos. I'll get you guys out of here. I really do appreciate you. Let me see here. Open it up. But yeah, lots to talk about, lots to discuss, none of which being coming from Donald Trump's speech because it was absolutely useless, pointless, and full of lies. Full of lies, in case anybody didn't catch it. But let me see if I can dive into some of these. Oh, thank you, Nancy, so much. So first off is going to be Nancy. When you call us assholes, I am an asshole when it comes to Trump. I fucking hate him, and I don't waste time hating. Well, amen. But yeah, I apologize. You guys definitely caught us straight. You guys caught a stray there. I was talking about the party of assholes being Donald Trump, but obviously I worded that wrong. So my apologies, Nancy. You know I don't think that about you. You know I don't think that about you. But thank you so much for your kind contribution. That goes for Yakov as well. Let me see here. Yakov says, from Yakov. So thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. Shout out to you as well. Let me see. Anybody else? Dame Dog, thank you so much. Santa, appreciate you, brother. Nancy again from the other day. Karen from the other day. Let's see. Victoria from the other day as well. Want to make sure that I can continue to show my appreciation, show my thanks for you guys, and sending out the Venmo. A buck or two goes a long way. It really does. All you have to do is stick your camera up to that there little thing right there up in that corner, and it'll take you right to the Venmo. You send over $1, and it'll help me in my show. I promise you. But yeah, thank you guys. I really do appreciate it. Whether that be here, I always forget to put this up as well because I know sometimes people don't have Venmo, but they may have PayPal, so I'll switch that for the rest of the show while we're thanking people in case you do have a PayPal. But all right, let's get into thanking some of the people here on YouTube, and then I'll get you guys out of here. All right, I appreciate you. Thank you for once again tuning into the doubleheader on Wednesdays. Deb, thank you so much. Hey, Brian, great to hang out here with all of you rather than watch his announcement tonight. Well, sorry that we dove into a little bit of it, but like I said, if it was like an announcement of war or military action, and as a political commentator, I think I would have been, pretty well fucking shamed if I didn't pop over to when the president of the United States was talking about an active and ongoing military action or something like that while I was currently live. I had to pop over at least to see, but it didn't take long to realize that he was just kind of spewing bullshit, the same bullshit he spews on Truth Social. So we didn't have to dive into too much. But thank you, Deb. I really do appreciate that 5. Shout out to you. Shout out to moms as well. Thank you for all that you do to help us keep sane. Thank you so much. Like I said, moms, you guys do just as much to help me keep sane, and I can't thank you enough for it. So shout out to you. Hope you're well. Thank you so much, Greg, for the $2 on Rumble, making rubles, you mean. That's absolutely right. You're absolutely right. You're 100% right, whether it's Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, the rest of those morons that were up in there. But, Nick Fuentes kind of, I'm assuming that's what you were referencing, is Nick Fuentes really shows his true colors on there. And then he kind of, again, has been toning it down, and his base and the people that have, the reason that he built the people that he's, the base that he's built is because of the I Love Adolf shit, because of the bigoted, racist bullshit that he says. So when he goes on to Piers Morgan and kind of tones it down, when he goes on to Steven Crowder's show and kind of tones it down a little bit and is more, seemingly agreeable to some of the more mainstream establishment type of views, that's when they're starting to piss off their base. And Candace Owens is now kind of seeing that here, where she's, going back on a lot of the things that built this 300,000 live viewer base and 3 to 5 million views on the live stream total. That's what got her in this position, these conspiracy theories, and, going against the establishment narrative and the government narrative and what the FBI was saying. So if she's going to, come back in it now and say, oh, now I believe everything Turning Point says, and I do believe the narrative, she's going to find herself kind of out in the wilderness as it relates to her current numbers as well. So appreciate you, Greg. You're 100% right. Robin, congratulations, and thank you for being here for 21 months. Good Lord, what have I missed? Probably a lot. But thank you, Robin, for being here. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for your loyalty. That goes for Mary Ann as well. Thank you so much for the $2 contribution. Slava Ukraine, Mary says, Heroyam Slava, right back at you, and to all the fine military members of the Ukrainian forces. Jeff, let's go, brother. But thank you, Mary. I appreciate you very much, very much. Thank you so much. And Jeff, thank you, dude. Really appreciate that. Happy holidays to you, Mel, Mods, and the Pop. Keep it going. Screw Putin and his mango puppet. Right there with you, Jeff. Can't thank you enough, my man, and I'll be sure to relay the kind messages. Thank you so much for that kind contribution. Greg, again, with the 5 gifted memberships. Let's fucking go. Please make sure we're thanking Greg in the chat for making sure 5 new people get to experience a membership. So please, you can also sign up yourself just underneath me here on YouTube for a $2.99 membership for the month. It goes a long way in helping this channel grow. You can send in a super chat or a super sticker in the chat as well. You can join patreon.com/BostonBrian. 3 different tiers on there, get you access into our Zoom meetings every month. And then, yeah, like I said, you can do the PayPal or Venmo, a multitude of different ways. I know I hate the self-promotional bullshit. It irks me, makes me sick as well. But again, if I want to put food in my mouth and keep the lights on, that's kind of what I have to do. So I appreciate you. And then to round it out, thank you, JD. I appreciate you, brother, going right in the swag. I can't thank you enough for being here. Can't thank you enough for all your contributions. I really do appreciate it. I'll let you guys all go. Make sure that you guys are staying involved, staying active. Make sure we're reporting on these different Democratic wins in these different elections all throughout the country. Make sure we're amplifying and highlighting the MAGA rift, the rift between Republicans and conservatives in this, like I said, media, echoes, chamber, sphere, whatever of politics that they got going on. Let's keep our eye on what Donald Trump is doing with Venezuela, and obviously what's happening with Ukraine and Russia. But I will see you guys tomorrow for the Thursday show. That's going to be 2 p.m. on the East Coast. That's 11 a.m. here on the West Coast. So hit that notification bell. That'll let you know when I go live. Also let you know when I put out a video or a short or anything like that. Go check out my page. Check out the new shorts. Check out the new videos. That also does a lot to help boost my channel in the algorithm. And yeah, I really do appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to the best chat on the internet. And I do truly believe that. So thank you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right. Keep your head in a swivel. Stay loud, stay proud, stay aggressive. Find your nearest protest, find your nearest rally, but make sure you're staying safe out there. Keep your head in a swivel. All right. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Peace. Thank you again, mods. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. Sonia, Tiff, Rock, Locata, Adam, Mark, all you guys. Thank you so much. Sorry to anybody I'm leaving on. Jen, Andrea, all you guys. Thank you.
Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. For minors, do we love minors? I love minors. For minors, do we love minors? I love minors. For minors, do we love minors? I love minors. Somebody said, is that a Trump statement or is that real? For minors, do we love minors? I love minors. It's a new form of vicious violation to our country. What in the hell was that all about? They're just getting acclimated. You know what that means, acclimated?
Hey guys, thank you so much. Thank you, James. Thank you, Orb. Thank you, Luck. Appreciate you guys. Thank you to everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitch. You guys really do mean a lot. I appreciate you.
Got a little chubby going there.
I am the chosen one. For the rest of my life, I have the curse that I have little hands. Little hands. You'll have a group of Venezuelan killers, street gangs, occupying the town with MK-47s. I know that gun very well. I got to know it very well. I've become an expert.
For miners, do we love miners? I love miners.
He builds the wall the way he built Trump Towers. He'll be using illegal immigrant labor to do it.
Eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats.
For miners,
they're eating,
we love miners. I love miners.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Cacophony, a crescendo, a finale, a coup de grace.
No, get those lights off! Off! Turn them off. They're too bright. Turn them off. How do you lie to the FBI and now you're running for president? Seriously, how do you lie to the FBI and now you're running for president?
Our army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do.
Go fuck yourself.
All right, guys, take it easy. I appreciate you.
The big, fat, sloppy United States.
Catch you tomorrow.